For the Orioles, they get out of that losing streak, scraping together a few runs any way they would come, and the leather helped defensively. Bo Porter's team had their streak broken, and the Orioles got the 4-1 win. Today, the Orioles go up against a familiar foe. It'll be Scott Feldman and Wei-Yin Chen. They get set to face off. The Orioles try to even up this 4-game set. It's the Orioles on Macedon for the O's. This 4-game stand here at Minute Maid Park in Houston will come to a conclusion today, and if they can win it, the Orioles will head on to Arlington, Texas with a 2-2 mark out of this series. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Thorne, and a good Sunday to you as the Orioles hope to make it a good Sunday as we start the month of June. The Orioles started out in the months of March and April with a 500 record. That is exactly what they did in May, another 500 record. Buck Showalter said before the game today, look, if we come out of this road trip we're on right now with our heads above water, then we've got a chance. Well, the way to do that is win today and take 2 out of 3 against the Rangers. For the Orioles, not only for the month of May, but for this entire season, the name is Cruz. An absolutely unbelievable beginning to the year for Nelson Cruz. He's just doing everything. As Chris Davis said today, he really doesn't need any help. That's not true. Yesterday, he delivered a double in the ball game for one of 2 hits that he would have. The other, his 20th home run of the season. He's on top of everybody in the league in home runs and RBIs. And no reason to believe he's going to cool off. He's got a burr under his saddle because nobody wanted him. A 12-game hit streak right now this season. The 20 home runs, 52 RBIs lead the majors in May. A magnificent average with 13 homers, 27 RBIs. Mike Bordick, it's just a delight to watch Nelson Cruz play.
Well, it sure is. I mean, he is on fire, seeing the ball so well, and Nelson Cruz said it himself. I'm in the zone right now. Well, it's an extended zone leading the world in home runs and RBIs to this point. Now, Nelson Cruz is no stranger to hitting the long ball. Last year he had 27 home runs, but it was only in 109 games. He's topped out at 33 home runs, but that was in limited time as well. And we've talked about how Buck Showalter has been handling Nelson Cruz. Some time in the DH spot, sure, some time out in the field where he loves to play, but really trying to keep him healthy. And I think that has been a huge key to his success here recently. The strong legs and the consistent style. He talks about maintaining a routine right now. He has limited head movement and quiet legs, and when he lets that bat head go in the zone, it's getting damaged.
It is a delight to watch. The man who has struggled a little bit, Chris Davis. An opportunity to talk with him today, always with his head up and always ready for the next day at the ballpark. We'll talk to Chris on this Sunday when we return. Anderson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. And by AT&T, mobilizing your world. Back here in Houston as we get set for this final game of the 4-game set. Chris Davis and home runs. You know, not just for Chris, but for everybody, they don't come easy. Take a look at players who have had 50 home runs in one season and what has happened in the next year. Chris Davis, 53 last season. Right now, he's got 7. Hack Wilson, 50 home runs the first year that he hit 50. The next year he hit 13. The Orioles' Brady Anderson, he hit 50 in 1 year, and the next year, 18. Luis Gonzalez, his first 50-plus home run season, 57. The next year, 28. They don't come naturally. You got to have some great ability and a little bit of luck. But for Chris Davis, keep smiling. We asked him to assess the Orioles' first 2 months.
It's kind of been a roller coaster. There have been times when we've been really good and times that we've kind of struggled. But I think, we've seen how well we can play at times. We just got to kind of hit on all cylinders at the same time. Obviously, Nelson Cruz is kind of carrying the offense right now. He didn't really need any help. But, I think our pitching's starting to come around a little bit. Had a great start by Miguel the other day. And I thought Tilly threw the ball well. We'll see how it goes.
The American League East, a lot of surprises, I think, in it for people. It looks like it's going to be a dogfight with everybody involved. Yeah,
I feel like it is every year. No matter what happens in the first couple of months, I feel like September rolls around, there are 4 or 5 teams all fighting for the same spot. So we welcome the competition. It's good to see it's competitive again. You don't ever want to see a team dragging up the bottom or one team running away with it. So we're excited to be in the mix.
All right, Chris, assess your own 2 months. I mean, it's not what you had expected, I'm sure, but look, you got a long way to go here.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just staying in there and getting consistent bats every day. I think right when I got hurt, I started to kind of feel like I was getting my rhythm and timing, and then obviously with my little kiddo being born, I missed a few days, but it's rough right now. It's part of it. I've been here before, and I'm going to continue to grind it out.
The home run numbers and RBI numbers put up last year put the burden on you, if you will, to say that's my job, that's what I got to do?
I don't think so. I think last year was obviously a career year for me, and to say I'm going to go out and hit 50 every year is a pretty bold statement. But I think the biggest thing for me is to continue to get on base, continue to try to score runs for these guys, and to play pretty good defense.
From one slugger to another, what do you see when you watch Nelson Cruz?
Pretty much anything he wants to do right now, he's doing it. I know what it feels like to be locked in like that, and to know that you're going to get 2 or 3 hits every game, and to know that one of them is probably going to be a home run. So it's a lot of fun to watch. Couldn't happen to a better guy, and just glad to be a part of it.
Congratulations on being a new daddy.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Sikorsky.
Our national anthem, and the roof closed here on a hot and humid day in Houston. Take a look at our train game time temperature. It is 86 degrees outside, and there is the threat of more thunderstorm activity. Visit trainsearch.com to find your local train comfort specialist dealer. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Here's the starting lineup for the Orioles, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Their fares online only at southwest.com. Markakis is going to DH today just to give him a break in the field. Machado, Cruz, Jones, Davis, and Hardy scope. David Lowe is going to get the start in left field, and Nick Hundley will work behind the plate. First innings, Nick Markakis this year. Yikes.
Well, let's take a look at the pitch arsenal for Scott Feldman this season. 50% fastballs. Got a real slow breaking ball. He likes it, though. 36% of the time he's going to use that. And he's got a changeup at 14%. But 3 fastballs, really. A cut fastball, 2-seamer, and the 4-seamer. He's made 8 starts this year, 3-2 record. 3.02 earned run average. That's 8th in the American League. 47 2/3 innings pitched. And here's what the opponents are hitting off. 261, lefties at 273, and the righties at 250. Now Feldman, not really an overpowering type pitcher, more of a finesse style, works the perimeter of the plate, kind of tries to induce that weak contact and exploit over-aggressive hitters. So that's the way he's had his success in his career. Look for him to drop that big curveball when he gets ahead, though.
And of course, he is a former Oriole. He played just a portion of last season for the O's. He was acquired on July 2nd of last year. Made 15 starts as an Oriole. He went 5-6, had a 4.27 ERA. He worked 90 2/3 innings against the Orioles in his career. He has a 4-1 lifetime record against the O's. So pretty good mark for this 31-year-old veteran, who was very well liked. Guys on the team here this year who were with him last year all made sure they had a chance to say hi to somebody, even in a short period of time they thought was a great teammate.
Yeah, he's great in the clubhouse. Got along with everybody last season. Buck Showalter loved him. Let's look at Buck, and really can help stabilize a rotation. You know, an experienced veteran, and he has certainly helped this rotation. He got off to a great start. There was a little bump in the road, but settling in once again, and one of the strongest pitching staffs in the league here throughout the month of May.
It's June.
Yes, here we are.
How'd that happen? Here's Nick Markakis leading off and in the DH role. Nick's got a six-game hit streak coming in. Feldman's pitch swing is there for a strike, and our Sunday game underway. Nick has had a 3-4-11 in this series and continues to chop it up. He's hitting .423 in the first inning of ball games this season for the Orioles. Breaking ball with a shift on. This is going to be a tough play. Villar, he won't get him. Throw was off, and once Dominguez, the third baseman, couldn't get it, Markakis was on his way to a base hit.
There you go. Another first inning base hit from Markakis. You see the shift on here. He's actually really fighting to stay inside this ball. Villar up the middle and just has to make an off balance play, running Guzman up the line. So Nick Markakis, just another way to start the game with a base hit.
And he pulled up after he crossed the bag, and Brian Ebel, the assistant trainer, coming out, but Showalter, whether or not he got hit by the ball as he went by and or the glove of Guzman, the first baseman.
Trying to throw up the line. Oh yeah, it did catch him.
Wow.
Back of the head there.
I thought Guzman had deflected that with the glove. He didn't.
Yeah, I did too.
That throw was right on the helmet. So this is one of these concussion checks. Brian asking Wayne Kirby, where did it hit him? Where did you see it hit him? Thank goodness it was off the helmet.
Yeah, shaking out the cobwebs there. Yeah, it got him. Ooh.
This is what Nick needed. Nick is coming off a couple of days where that neck, which bothers him on and off at times, stiffens up a little bit. It bothered him yesterday quite a bit.
Right.
So Markakis is on. It is an infield single for him, and the Orioles get one against Feldman early here as Nick beats one out. Now Manny Machado back into the number 2 spot. Pierce had been hitting there when Steve was starting in left field. Now Manny back in. Couple of hits, 11 at bats in this series. The Orioles will try and get to Feldman early, and the pitch is a strike on the outside corner. Feldman, 261 overall was that average you saw against him on the season. Only 3 home runs surrendered, and all of those hit by right-handers. Very short lead at first base for Markakis. 0-1 delivery. That'll be fouled back into the stream. Manny trying to get things picked up here with that average of just 220 coming into June. A couple of home runs, 5 RBIs.
Well, he picked up a couple of hits in yesterday's ball game, maybe totaling about 40 feet. Infield singles, both of them. But sometimes it's just hits like that start bringing up your confidence. I think maybe sliding back up in the number 2 spot. He's had some limited success off of Feldman, 3 for 5 with a home run. So
there's that curve you were talking about, Mike, and it's a nasty pitch. It's a big bender, and that one right off the end of the bat.
It's just so slow. He throws it from 71 to 77 miles an hour. It just looks like it's never going to make it to home plate. Probably a beach ball to Manny Machado as it floats in there. And just to be able to wait on that is the hardest thing. And at times it does have a pretty good finish at the end. So bites down in the zone. Get some strikeouts that way.
0-2 the count. Markakis off first base and got him right on the elbow, I think. He's got the protector on there and will head down to first base, kind of holding that arm up.
Little two-seam fastball trying to back Manny off the plate, and this one just takes off arm side and catches him right in the bottom of the elbow. That'll be a good look at it. He's got the elbow pad on. He pulls it in tight and just clips it. Take that after having 2 strikes on him early in the count.
So the Orioles get 2 on with nobody out. That is the second hit batter by Feldman on the year. And Machado takes first. Markakis goes down to second base, and here he is.
My.
Oh my. Cruz with a 12-game hit streak coming in, and he'll take the pitch for a strike. Unbelievable numbers in May for all Orioles. Cruz right there with Gentile and Eddie Murray. Look at the average. The home runs more than anyone. RBIs tied with Eddie Murray for the month of May.
Just amazing to watch players when they get into these kind of grooves offensively, and really Nelson's been in a groove since he came over here with the Orioles. So nice first 2 months for Nelson, really kind of carrying the team offensively. Just a pleasure to watch. I mean, boy, you don't get a chance to see guys get these kind of put this kind of production up in such a short period of time.
Talk about carrying the team.
Yeah,
look at this.
I know. Best of the month of May. Cruz, the batting average right there, 339. Home runs 13. RBIs 27. Hits 39. On base plus slugging 1.135. Just amazing numbers through the month of May.
When we did those, not knowing what the answer was going to be, we thought that somebody else would be in there. Maybe Nick Markakis in hits or something. Nope. Every single one of those categories went to Nelson Cruz. He'll take that pitch away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cruz trying to get the Orioles on the board early in this ball game. Get 2 on and nobody out. Ground ball being looked for here by Feldman for a double play. That's what he got. It'll go to short. Villar, Altuve over to first. Nice pick. Guzman scoops it out, and there's a big double play here in the first. Markakis will move over to third base with there are 2 down.
Well, a big part of Feldman's game is trying to induce that ground ball, and he has one of the highest rates in the league. Just a routine chopper to Villar, and Altuve on to first base. A nice pickup there by Jesus Guzman.
So 2 down and a runner at third, and that will bring up Adam Jones. Adam with just a couple of hits in the series, and he has really struggled against Scott Feldman. Only 2 hits and 18 at bats for Jones against Feldman. There's the runner in scoring position number. He's got 1 out there, and Nick Markakis at third base. And showed bunt, and the pitch will be taken for a ball. He did that yesterday, but Showalter kind of raised his eyebrows when asked about it after the ball game, trying to lay down a bunt when the Orioles needed to get some runs, and that's a swing. He couldn't hold up.
A tough cutter right there.
Chris Siegel is the home plate umpire. He's one of the new umpires, and there are many this year. New umpires on different crews, and Chris Siegel out of Virginia, his first major league season. Jones will go to third base. Dominguez is up with it. Boy, Feldman worked his way out of that one. No runs on 1 hit and no errors, and 1 left on base. We'll take a look at the numbers for Wei and Chen when we come back. Port Deposit, located in Cecil County, Maryland. It's where the Susquehanna meets Chesapeake Bay, and all part of Birdland, and a beautiful time of the season to be there. Take a look at the starting lineup in the ball game for the Astros. Altuve, Springer, and Fowler. Dominguez, Carter, and Guzman. Grossman. Corcoran's going to work behind the plate. We haven't seen him in the series. And Villar. Altuve with the big numbers lifetime against the O's.
Man, there's a look at Wei-Yin Chen's pitch arsenal on the year. He used that fastball at 64% of the time. Breaking ball. He's got the slow curve and also the hard slider 22% of the time. Continuing to work on that changeup 14% of the time this year. Here's the numbers on the season: 10 starts, 5-2 record, 4.50 earned run average. Opponents hitting .306. Lefties way up to .383, and the righties at .280. So high opponent batting average against Wei-Yin Chen. Yeah, he's given up a lot of hits, but he's been aided by a lot of Orioles run support in his starts.
The Astros have really struggled against left-handers. They're 6-12 against left-handed starters. That is the next to the worst record in the American League. Now, between innings, Brian Ebel, the assistant trainer, the concussion test on Nick Markakis after he got hit in the head by that throw from Villar. And it appears to be all right. He's DHing it. That will be fouled back into the seats by Altuve. The interesting thing is, even though Houston has struggled against left-handed starters, 6-12, their average is actually better against left-handers, .267, than against right-handers, .224. But they haven't won the game. We'll see what happens in this one. Altuve will take the pitch. It will be in the dirt. Hundley working behind the plate after Joseph had caught the last 2 ball games for the Orioles. There's newest acquisition, position player, Nick Hundley.
One thing we have to watch in this ball game with Wei-Yin Chen is his ability to throw inside.
Another base hit. So Altuve gets a leadoff single.
Well, take a look at this Orioles defense in yesterday's ball game. Really some game-saving plays. Markakis running down a bases loaded shot from Altuve, and then Steve Pearce playing it so well off the wall. How about Manny Machado flashing the leather? Tillman appreciates that one. And here is a look at the Orioles defense today. David Lowe getting the start in left field. Jones in center. Cruz over in right. Hardy and Scope once again up the middle with Machado and Davis on the corners, and Nick Hundley behind the plate.
Altuve came in hitting .426 against lefties, and he starts this game out with a single. Here is George Springer. Springer, their fine young right fielder. And the pitch will be away. Springer's had only 1 hit in this series. It was a 2-run homer that won the opening ball game of this series. He's had a magnificent month of May, hitting only .216 though against left-handers, with 2 of his 10 home runs off southpaws. 1-0 count. Chen holding. Ball put up in the air. Another one of those girder shots that goes foul.
Now take a look at the highest OPS in May as a rookie. Mark McGwire leading way back in 1987 at 1.204. Of course, he had 15 home runs in May. But there's George Springer, 1.032. I mean, incredible on base plus slugging percentage. Look at the names on there: Hayward, Gomez, and Helton on the list. Pretty impressive stuff from Springer.
1 ball, 1 strike delivery on the way, and a big cut on a pitch probably out of the strike zone. For the month of May, Springer coming in to this ball game with a .294 month of May average and 10 home runs. So he finished up the month with spectacular numbers. Really got it turned on. Now the Astros hope that can continue. He's one of the first of the young stars his team will be presenting as it moves along over the next couple of years. 1 ball, 2 strike delivery to him, and that will be foul back.
Good spot right there. 92-mile-an-hour fastball away, but you know, I think Jimenez and Gonzalez and Tillman there that made the starts the first 3 games really pitched well. Unfortunately, a couple losses for Jimenez and Gonzalez, but one of the common themes was their ability to pitch in. They were backing guys off the plate. They were able to throw strikes inside. And there's a look at a couple there. And I think that's going to be a key for Wei-Yin Chen today.
Like that.
There you go. Get it in. He tried to get in on Altuve, but left it over the plate a little bit, and he spanked that base hit up the middle. So as this game goes along, getting guys off the plate and the ability to really throw quality strikes in there is going to be a key.
This is going to be his third career start against the Astros, on the second this season. He had a fine 7-inning, 2-run, 5-hit performance against them at Camden Yards and got the win, and he's 2-0 lifetime. And Springer will go down swinging. Chen with the K, 1 down.
Right back with the fastball aggressively. Now Hundley setting up away, but he yanks this one across, ends up on the inner third. Able to get Springer a little bit in between there. At times, Wei-Yin Chen can really have some deception with his fastball. A little late life there at 92 miles an hour.
Chen has been non-decisioned in the last 2 games he's pitched. Against Cleveland and Milwaukee, the ball club lost both of those ball games. The Orioles are 6-4 in the 10 starts that he has made this year. Dexter Fowler, runner at first. Altuve, who can run, the league's leading base stealer. And a swing and a miss on another well-located fastball.
Now painted away at 91. You know, Wei-Yin Chen, his last 2 starts, he gave up 5 runs in both of them. Of course, that last start in Milwaukee, 3 home runs. But one thing he hasn't done is hurt himself with walks. He didn't have any walks in both of those ball games. It's just the fact of leaving too many pitches over the heart of the plate. Go right back to just execution and command.
That ball's going to be there for a strike. The other thing that he's done is hold runners. Of course, he is a left-hander, so he's got that look over there, but there have only been 2 attempts to steal a base against him, and base stealers 1 out of 2. Hundley behind the plate 1 for 5 since joining the Orioles and throwing out base stealers. But you do have the league leader in steals at first. 0-2 count, 1 away. And not a good read for Altuve at first that time. He was leaning back to the bag on the delivery. That's a good sign for Chen.
Quick slide step there. And I think at times, especially good base stealers, they try to set up pitchers. You know, pitchers are trying to set up the base stealer and hitters. But sometimes base stealers set up pitchers. So he jumps back right away. I think he's just trying to get a look at an A move from Chen. Chen's not showing it.
And the pitch will be outside. And a 2-ball, 2-strike count on Fowler. Fowler with an 0 for 6 in the at-bats that he has had against Chen. Orioles come in still 4.5 games behind in the division. Teams have kind of won and lost in the division on the same day. Toronto's got the lead over the Yankees by 2.5. The Orioles 4.5. Swing and a miss on a great pitch down and in. Consecutive strikeouts here in the first.
A changeup right there from Wei-Yin Chen, and take a look at the drop at the end. Now working down in the zone. Look at it just disappear under the bat of Fowler. Beautiful pitch from Wei-Yin Chen.
That's the pitch, Mike, that really gives him the numbers he has. The fact that the left-handers hit so well, almost 100 points higher than right-handers against him. That's the pitch, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that pitch to lefties at times, you know, not a real true out pitch, I guess, to the lefties. I mean, you'd think it would as it works its way away, maybe get some swing and misses, but he can bury his slider and changeup down and into the, you know, the big right-handed hitters.
You actually help Wei-Yin Chen if you put a lot of right-handers in the lineup. When lefties are hitting 383 and right-handers 280. 1-0 count on Dominguez. Dominguez 3 for 9 in the series. Batting in the cleanup spot, their third baseman. Chen's delivery to him, and that'll be fouled off, and Hundley took that one. And Chris Siegel, the home plate umpire, comes around to check to see if he's all right.
Squared Hundley right up, right in the chops. He's not worried about himself. He's worried about his mask right there.
Take care of your equipment.
Yeah.
1 ball, 1 strike count. Look over to the dugout for the signs and what they do regarding Altuve. Step off, throw over, hold. So far, Altuve has made no attempt to go. And the breaking ball will miss outside. 83 miles an hour on that one, and a 2 ball, 1 strike count. The Astros are coming off their winningest month in 4 years as they went 15-14 for the month of May. For Bo Porter's ball club, a dramatic improvement. Now trying to continue on with some of that success. They're 10.5 games out in last place in the division. 2 ball, 1 strike delivery on the way, and it's put up in the air. Jones is going to have to go back, but he's got to be there, and he will put it away. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base. Game 4, the final one of the year for the Orioles and the Astros. Game is Ken Dreyer from Gwen Oak. You've won $500 for being selected, and you win $500 more for every Orioles home run hit today. Play the Orioles scratch off for the Maryland Lottery. It's your chance to be a contestant of the game, win a trip to see the O's play at Wrigley or to the World Series. Learn more at mdlottery.com/Orioles. Real good crowds have been on hand for this series with the Orioles. 29,000 in the ballpark yesterday, and 38,000 for the civil rights game on Friday. There's 23,000 for game number 1, so they've drawn well. Team creating some excitement here in Houston. Here is Chris Davis, and the foul tip into the mid of Corcoran. Davis a 1 for 12 so far in this series. Chris finishes up the month of May, 209 average with 5 home runs hit in May.
Chris, kind of an up and down offensive year. Started to get back on track, and then had the oblique strain. Missed a few games there. Not as long as Orioles thought it would last, but so that kind of broke his rhythm and timing. And then the wonderful birth of his daughter came, but missed a couple more days. So still trying to find a rhythm, get into a rhythm at the plate.
Feldman will miss up high to it. 2 balls and 2 strikes. But Showalter hoping the ball club can finish up this road trip with some success. They are 2-4 with 3 games after this to be played against Texas, a day off tomorrow, and then the Rangers for 3. 2-2 delivery, and that's a foul ball back into the stands.
Good pass on that one. The 2-seamer. Feldman trying to get it in, and it leaked back over the heart of the plate. It's just missing it.
Nick over there just kind of keeping an eye on whether there's any further reaction to that ball that caught him on the helmet going down to first. Here's the 2-2 pitch, and Davis on a big cut in the dirt. Corcoran up will make the play, strikeout, and the assist.
There's that big slow curve again, 78 miles an hour, and kind of floats up there and just disappears at the end. That's one with the tighter finish, spiking it in the dirt. Davis just over the top of it.
1 down here in the second inning. Feldman retires 69% of leadoff batters on the year. Good number. Here's J.J. Hardy. J.J. with a 1 for 5 lifetime off Feldman. Pitch is in there for a strike and carrying a hot bat.
Yeah, he sure is. I mean, he has been swinging and laying out the hits. 8 multi-hit games in his last 13. games, and his batting average right up over 300, just getting over 300 with a couple hits in yesterday's ball game. So swinging it well, still looking for that first home run, but the confidence at the plate will certainly lead to more power numbers for Hardy.
333 for the month of May for the Orioles shortstop. Great number for him. Here's the 0-2 delivery, and that pitch is going to be up high and away. Hardy's got 12 doubles for his extra base hits this season. The 14 RBIs and a dozen runs scored. 1 ball, 2 strike delivery. Feldman got it in, popped up down the line. Springer and Wright coming. Foul territory, and will make the count.
I'll take a look at the Jeep inside the numbers here. Scott Feldman this season in his 3 wins, 1.37 earned run average, and look at the run support, 9.61, while his other starts 4.18 earned run average and just 1.29 runs of support. So Feldman wishing those numbers were flipped around, probably have more wins on the season, but you see how dominant he can be, that low earned run average in those 3 starts, and at times kind of lose it, leave balls up in the zone, and gets hit around a little bit.
Jonathan Scope getting the start at second base, trying to break out of an 0 for 14, including the 0 for 7 that he has had in this series. And those are the kind of pitches that have been getting him out. Breaking balls that are a good deal outside the strike zone. 0-2. Talked about Feldman and ground balls, 12th in the American League in ERA and 8th in ground ball fly ball ratio. And he missed time this season. He was on the DL for 15 with a biceps tendonitis problem. Astros signed him to a 3-year deal to be, as Mike said, a stabilizer. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 down. Breaking ball Scope to third. Backhanded. Dominguez can't hang on. It'll roll into left field. Scope a big turn, but will stay as Grossman will get it back in.
Scope hammered this hanging breaking ball. Dominguez getting ready, and I think it was just hit harder than he thought. He should make that play. He's come up with some fine defensive plays in the series and come down with that one.
He'll be credited with the infield single on that. Now a visit to the mound. David Lowe coming up. Maybe something seen by Brent Strom, the pitching coach, to bring him out there for a quick talk. Corcoran will stay out there with him as well.
Don't really know. I mean, other than the fact they just hung a breaking ball to Jonathan Scope. But, you know, they may be talking about how to control the running game. One of Feldman's weaknesses is this inability to stop teams from running. Throughout his career, he's been very slow to the plate.
Not a big lead over there at first. Runner not going, and the pitch is in there for a strike. To Lowe, getting the start in left field. For David Lowe on the year, he's had 38 games, only 88 at bats, though. A couple of doubles, a triple, 3 RBIs. Stolen bases, you see 4 out of 7. Corcoran behind the plates, thrown out 2 of 8. And the count goes to 1-1. So you got a team that's up there, the second spot in stolen bases in the Astros against the Orioles team, which has done very little running at all this year. And a swing and a miss. He went after one that was up. The Orioles are last as a team in stolen bases. Houston's number 2. Only Kansas City stolen more.
Well, there was some hope that David Lowe would be that guy, and you know, he can steal some bases, but unfortunately off to a slow start offensively. So trying to keep the bats in there. Showalter hoping the Lowe heats up so he can get more playing time and increase that stolen base amount.
David right now is in the midst of an 0 for his last 11 at the plate. Anything that'll get him on base, try and break out of that. Feldman with a 1 ball 2 strike count on him. 2 down. Jonathan Scope the base hit on it first. And the breaking ball. Corbin makes a nice stop of it and holds the runner on at first base.
Good take from David Lowe right there on a pretty tough pitch down and in. I think a lot of times when hitters struggle, take a look at the pitch track, working them up and away, and then trying to get that swing there on the fourth pitch down and in. But a lot of hitters are struggling. You know, they just don't have the patience. They don't let the ball travel deep enough. They want to try to get that hit right out of the pitcher's hand. So everything starts too soon. The weight gets forward. They get off balance. Some of the struggling Orioles hitters, that's what you're seeing. Now on the flip side of that, you see a hitter like Nelson Cruz, what he's been going through. He lets the ball travel as far as possible, as long as possible. He has very limited head movement. He stays behind the baseball, and he trusts his hands. And that's all just a part of confidence, you know, in that routine that a hitter establishes.
There goes the runner, and there goes the ball. Way back in. Goodbye, home run. A rocket shot as Lowe delivers a 2 RBI homer, and did he clout that? His first of the year. RBIs 4 and 5, and the Orioles have a 2-0 lead.
Well, that's a swing that'll help build his confidence. His first home run. A big one with 2 outs. Tough pitches throughout that at bat. Finally gets a mistake. And wow, did he stay short to do that? A lot of love going on in there.
He got all of it. Feldman, only the 4th home run he has surrendered on the year. Boy, did he whip through that one. And the pitch is going to put high up in the air by Hundley. Center field. Fowler drifts in underneath it and will put it away. But the Orioles are on the board. 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors, nobody left with 2 down. Jonathan Scope got the base hit. Then Lowe followed with this rocket shot to break his 0-4-11 and give the Orioles the lead. Ticket to 6 games, your choice. Savings up to 20% off single game tickets. You can lock in your seats, the best games and best promotions of the summer. For details, Orioles.com/6pack or 888-848-BIRD. Low load off the shoulders of Lowe.
Yeah, he really got into that ball, elevated fastball and hammered it. You know, David Lowe, every time the Orioles have early batting practice, he's out there hitting early with Jim Presley, just trying to find that stroke. And you know, the first day in here in Houston, he was out and he was actually hitting some home runs. He was getting on the baseball, and Presley was really pumping him up, trying to build that confidence. Well, that swing right there will go a long way for David Lowe.
Last home run he had was on September 26th of last year, and the Orioles go up 2-0 off Feldman. Here is Carter. Wei and Chen's delivery to him will be inside, maybe a little low for a ball. Chris Carter with a 192 average, the power bat, 8 home runs and 21 RBIs. And that pitch also will tail away and miss outside. He's had only one hit off Chen, and that was a home run. Carter's acting as the designated hitter. He's played some first base in the series as well. That pitch is in there for a strike. Chen comes back on him. Makes it 2-1. Outfield deep, in the infield moved a little bit, playing him to hit the other way. And that's what he does, foul.
Trying to stay aggressive with that fastball. Carter, a very dangerous hitter. A lot of dangerous hitters in this Astros lineup. We talk about their home run potential, so mistakes have to be limited. Wei-Yin Chen in his last start to 3 home runs.
A blooper down the line. Trouble if it's fair. It isn't. And Chen gets a break on that one as it did not stay on the fair side of the line.
A good pitch. Thankfully, he was rewarded there with the foul ball on a fair ball.
Those home runs Mike's talking about. Chen allowing just 1 home run in April. 6 were hit in May, including 3 in that last outing against Milwaukee. We'd like to keep those down. This is a ballpark that's a hitter's yard. And both lefties and righties have some porches to aim at here. Delivery to him. That'll be fouled back into the screen.
Chris Carter, a very dangerous hitter. There's a look at his power zone, pretty much right down the middle, but there are some holes. You can elevate up and away, up and in. You can work down and away as well, and down and in. Just don't make mistakes over the heart.
Ooh, another one, he got him. There's the 3rd strikeout.
Beautiful breaking ball from Wei-Yin Chen after some fastballs away. Look at that pitch track down in the zone the whole way through. And this one, wow, that is nasty. Back foot slider. Carter swinging over the top of it. Beautiful pitch.
Houston has struck out the 2nd most times this season in the American League. Only the Chicago White Sox have struck out more than the Astros have. The Orioles are 8th in strikeouts in the league. So Will Porter's seen a lot of Ks pile up with his guys at the plate. Here is Guzman. Jesus Guzman's only had 1 at bat in the series, 0 for 1, getting the start at first base. He's come on as a pinch hitter and a defensive replacement in the series. Shift is on against him, and the off-speed breaking ball is in there for a strike.
Good one. You see the speed variation now. That's the slow breaking ball of 78 miles an hour.
You saw second baseman Jonathan Scope perhaps moving on that almost as the pitch was being delivered. That's again one of those within the bat infield changes.
Yeah.
He was on the other side, seeing Wayne Kirby's giving them people the what for, aren't moving quick enough. Pitch is going to be taken. Did he go? No. 1-2.
I think the infielders especially have to be aware that, you know, Bobby Dickerson will move infielders throughout the count, and with 2 strikes so many times, hitters' tendency to try to back it up, you know, and use the whole field. Well, that's what happened there. It was an 0-2 count, and Scope moving a little bit late to get back in position on the second base side.
And that's fouled away. That's something that pitchers obviously have to be conscious of, along with everything else. You got to remember to make sure your fielders are set before you throw to the plate. You kind of have to take a sneak peek, don't you?
Yeah, well, Wei-Yin Chen works fast, and the infielders know that, and they should be aware of setting prior. They should actually know the hitter before they even, you know, start the ball game, to where Bobby Dickerson shouldn't have to direct them. You know, there has to be some awareness. You see Bobby with his book now. He's got everybody charted. He's got the counts. They move on, what the hitter's tendencies are. So always on top of it.
2 ball, 2 strike count. Chen gets it in. It'll go to Hardy. Over to Chris Davis, and Guzman is retired. And there are 2 down here in the 2nd inning. Join the conversation. Check out Bassett Orioles on Facebook and join our game chat to interact with fellow Oriole fans about our ball game today. Log on to www.facebook.com/Masson Orioles. Scroll down to our ball game, and you can start chatting. 2 down, and here is Grossman coming up. Robbie Grossman, the switch hitter, with a 2 for 9 in the previous 3 games in this set. And Chen's pitch will be outside. For Grossman, a 111 right-handed, only 18 at bats, 2 for 18. Left-handed, 176. 2 home runs, both hit from the other side of the plate. and he'll foul the Chen delivery away. 1-1.
Chen, a real good fastball right now, and holding real good velocity. Bumped one in there at 94, but that one at 93. So a little extra on the fastball, keeping it down in the zone well.
Chopper to first. Davis an easy play and a solid inning. 1-2-3. Chen sets down the Astros. The Orioles with a low home run after 2 have the 2-0 lead. Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. And by Luna. For a beautiful new carpet, hardwood, and laminate, call 877-241-LUNA. City of Houston hosting the 2014 Civil Rights Game. It was played on Friday and did a great job with it. Tremendous luncheon activities before the ball game. The Orioles have a real shot at hosting the 2016 All-Star Game, and it would be another feather in the cap if indeed they could get that All-Star Game and get the Civil Rights Game for the same year. It would make spectacular in-season stuff.
Yeah, that would be real special. Camden Yards obviously a very special place, but to be able to host those two events is something.
But Selig said the Orioles have a very good chance at the All-Star Game in 2016. The delivery is a strike taken. Nick Markakis in the DH role. Nick with a base hit, of course, his first time up. He's now 9 for 25 lifetime of Scott Feldman, and he's got a 7-game hit streak and continues with that average well over the 400 mark, about 425 now in first inning at bats. Markakis, one upstairs, can't catch it. 1-2.
Pitch looks so good. I mean, it's not really an overpowering pitch. 86 miles an hour. It's elevated a little bit. Looks like a beach ball coming in there.
1-2 delivered to him, foul back. A big cut. Nick hitting 299 for May with the 3 home runs that he put up. Another very solid month.
There's a slow breaking ball after the high fastball, and Markakis really stays on it. Aggressive swing.
Looks so tantalizing. Here's the 1-2 delivery, and a swing and a miss. Foul tip held on to, says the umpire. 2 Ks.
Really slow him down, speed him up at bat here. Couple fastballs at the top of the zone, slow breaking ball, and then boom, there you go, right back to the top at 88 miles an hour. Markakis can't lay off it.
8th outing for Feldman against the Orioles to go with that 4-1 mark and a 3.67 ERA lifetime against Baltimore. Manny Machado on the late swing will foul it off. Manny was hit by a pitch his first time up. Playing here in the 3rd inning. A day off for the Orioles tomorrow. They fly to Arlington for the series against the Rangers starting on Tuesday. Wei and Chen today. Ubaldo Jimenez Bud Norris and Miguel Gonzalez have been named as the 3 starters in Texas. Joe Saunders, Nick Martinez, and Colby Lewis will be going for the Rangers in that series. Breaking ball will be outside. Joe Walter did not name the rotation until after the ball game last night. Said he wanted to see how Tillman felt after the game, and Tillman felt fine. So he was able to go, and they didn't have to use another starter in a long relief role. 1-2 delivery. And Buck said, I looked at the matchups to see who has pitched well against Texas and in Texas, and who also has worked better when they get an extra day's rest as opposed to working on 4. That ball is tagged. That's going to go to the gap. Will it roll by? It'll be cut off by the center fielder Fowler going into second base for a double. The tag is not in time. Manny Machado, a 2-bagger. Fine play made by Fowler to make that even close, as that ball was in the gap.
Oh, beautiful swing here from Manny Machado. Look at him wait on the breaking ball. Staying back, trusting the hands. Beautiful swing from Machado, driving it in the gap. Good extension through the baseball. And we saw this 51 times last season, hustling on into second base. It's a second double this year. Couple hits in yesterday's game, big double there. Machado looking to get back on track.
Hard to believe he has only 2 doubles. Let's take a little more of those. Fowler went over there and cut it off. They made a nice throw. He had a long throw because he was going away from the bag at second. So Machado on with a 1-out double. Orioles get their 4th hit of the ball game, and it will bring up Nelson Cruz. Nelson hit into the double play his first time up. Altuve will hold the runner at second base. And the delivery and a swing and a miss. Feldman's coming into some of these hitters with some intentionally high pitches, it looks like.
Yeah, working the top of the zone. Now he is a ground ball pitcher, so you would think he'd like to stay down at the knee level and let that 2-seamer work, get some ground balls, but getting some chases at the top of the zone.
0-1 delivery, and he hit him. That reaction's not good.
It sure is. Kind of numbed his left side, it looks like. Maybe caught him right on it. Oh, he's taking the wrist. Another fastball taken off up and in on Feldman.
That's where it got him. Right on the back of that hand by the little finger. You saw him pointing and rubbing.
That's not good. Too many small bones in the hand. See it take off in there, and oh, it catches him right on top of that left hand. Wow. He's in some pain there. Richie Bancels checking him out.
You heard the reaction.
Yeah. Well, you saw Corporon setting up in there. I mean, it was an intentional pitch to try to get him off the plate as he was setting up way in there. Now, I don't know that he wanted to go up and in with it. Like a pitch really to get the hottest hitter in the game to move his feet. But that's pretty dangerous as it rides up in that area.
I think he's going to stay in, but obviously they'll keep an eye on that, as will he, see how it feels as the game goes along. Feldman works inside, and he's hit a couple of batters in this game, and now he's up to 8 hit this season, which is the most in the American League. It is the second time Cruz has been hit by a pitch. He shows first base coach Wayne Kirby where it got him, and the good thing is you see him bending, making the fist. That's a positive.
Real good news there.
So the Orioles have runners on at first and second base with 1 away, and it will bring up Adam Jones. The Orioles leading it by a score of 2-0, and Jones will get the opportunity to pick up an RBI or 2, hitting .286 with runners in scoring position. The Orioles in this series have had far fewer chances than the Astros with runners in scoring position, but have been able to come away with that victory yesterday, and now a chance to even it up. They went 1 for 4 in each of the first 2 games, and a 1 for 7 in the ball game yesterday. Jones with a 2 for 19 now off Feldman. Altuve holding at second on Machado. Breaking ball. It will miss. Up high, end or away. Ball 1.
Jones a good take there, not trying to be over aggressive. Hopefully here early in this count, looking for his own pitch. Feldman's been up in the zone, so look up and out over the plate. Get a pitch to drive.
1-0, runners are going, double steal, throw to third, not in time. Good jump. Manny Machado and Nelson Cruz get the stolen bases to put 2 in scoring position.
Well, Feldman real poor at controlling the running game, and the Orioles take advantage of that right there. Good jump by Manny Machado, and Cruz on the end, so runners in scoring position second and third here. I think you're going to see that more often if Feldman stays in this ball game. Anybody that gets on, they're going to really try to push the envelope there.
Both Cruz and Machado get their first stolen base. The infield is in. Jones will take the pitch outside for a ball. Jones finishes up the month of May with a record he may or may not like. He drew 1 walk in 133 plate appearances in May. It is since 1914 the most plate appearances with only 1 or fewer walks in May. 2-1 delivery on the way, puts the ball up in the air. It'll get one in. Springer coming over, gets the angle. His throw will come into the cutoff man. A run will score. So Jones delivers the RBI on the sacrifice fly, and the double steal matters as far as setting up that run is concerned, and the Orioles are on top 3-0.
Good job right there. Nice job by Adam Jones getting the sac fly, but the stolen base. Good aggressive base running by the Orioles and Manny Machado. Nice to see him get that double, get things going.
Staying at second base is Cruz. Jones gets RBI number 30 for the Orioles. And here's Chris Davis, runner at second, 2 out. Davis, a strikeout victim, his first time up. Big shift put on against him. Altuve out there in shallow right field. Oh, they got him. He was going to turn around and not throw, and when he turned around, Cruz was going the other way, and it's a balk. I think he was so surprised at what he saw.
And third base umpire Andy Fletcher calling the balk.
That's why you saw Cruz talking to Bobby Dickerson. He's saying that's why I moved. He made a move to the plate. That's why I was headed to third, not second. So the balk charge, Cruz at third. Davis is going deep into that hole, and there once again is the shift working. Altuve makes the play. The Orioles, however, will pick up another run, a double by Machado, sac fly by Jones, scoring it 3-0 O's. Tweet their photo using hashtag #MassonFanPhotos for a chance to have it shown in a future broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Had a crazy ball game for Feldman so far with a couple of hit batters, a wild pitch, and Buck Showalter out, I think, to make a change here. We'll pick that up. But here's the balk, Mike.
Yeah, it's just kind of a casual step over. But, you know, the problem is he was stepping more towards third base instead of making an actual move towards second. I think that's what the third base umpire, Andy Fletcher, called on Feldman.
The rule says you got to make a move towards the base you're throwing at. So Delman Young has come on in left field. And Lowe has moved over to right. So Cruz is out of there after being hit on the hand by that pitch. So Young comes on to replace him and will bat in the number 3 spot.
Well, I think one thing you have to really try to avoid, especially around the hands or feet, if there is swelling, that can get in between those small bones and the healing can take a lot longer. So probably get ice on it as soon as possible. They need Nelson Cruz for the next series. A couple days here now to treat it.
So Wei and Chen's got a 3-0 lead in the ball game. Corcoran at the plate. Corcoran, Villar, and top of the order Altuve. Another switch hitter in this lineup as we play in the bottom of the 3rd inning. And a swing and a miss on that one. Wei and Chen has had no walks, 3 strikeouts. Chen has been used to a lot of support from the Orioles offense. He is 3rd in the American League in run support, over 6.5 runs scored in his starts. And that pitch will come inside. Corcoran looked like he wanted to be hit by it. He kind of leaned in a little bit, but no dice.
Bad pitch either. Corcoran not even flinching on it.
Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way, and a check swing, but it's a called strike anyway. Chen eating up that inside corner.
Wow, that is a good fastball. Corcoran thinking probably inside off the plate, but Hundley setting up in there. This has been a key here we talk about. He just dots it in. Yeah, it might have been off the plate an inch or two. Call goes way in Chen's way, but Hundley setting there, glove didn't move, and he hit his spot.
Here is Villar back at shortstop in the ball game. He did not start yesterday. Gonzalez got the start at short. Villar had a big hit a couple of days ago, a double in the 7th inning in Houston's 2-1 win. Proved to be the game-winning RBI, and for him, he broke out of an 0 for 26 when he got that double. And what did he get for doing that? Benched. Foul back into the screen. 0-2.
Got the nice electric green batting gloves going on. Changed his number to 2.
He had those green batting gloves on when he got the hit, so you know those aren't coming off.
Right.
So that was the first time he'd worn them ever.
Yep. Probably got the same underwear on too. Well, I'm just saying, man, a lot of things happen when you need to get a hit. You try whatever you can, and then you remember what you did that day. Try to eat the same thing, wear the same stuff.
We'll see if Hundley backs up a step behind the plate. Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way, and that will be inside. A 2-ball, 2-strike count. You're not saying ball players are superstitious in any way.
Just creatures of habit. Routine. Find the routine that works and stick with it.
Here's the 2-2 delivery by Chen, and a chopper down to 3rd. He didn't get a good jump out of the box, and it won't matter. It will go foul where he thought it was going to go. Nice uniform, Manny. He's become the dirt dog of the day down there at third base. He had that slide on his belly when he stole 3rd. Turn around so we can see that uniform. Come on. This way. This way. There we go.
There you go. Well,
there you go.
That's what you like to see out of your infielder. Manny Machado, of course, the platinum glove last year, and all those doubles he hit. Just a fabulous all-around season, and they want his uniform dirty. That means he's doing a lot of stuff.
2-ball, 2-strike delivery by Chen, and he'll go full. A 3-ball, 2-strike count with Altuve at the top of the order waiting. Houston team, even though they've taken 2 out of 3 so far from the Orioles, they've had only 5 hits in each of the last 3 games. That one up in the air. He got jammed. Had to pull the hands in. Hardy back. Young coming, sliding, nice catch, and avoids the collision. Delvin Young just coming on to play in left field, and slides underneath Hardy so he can get over him, and they get the out.
Well, great play right there. Good job by Delvin Young. Smile on his face. Not a lot of playing time in the outfield, but this Orioles team taught outfielders go low, infielders go high, and Delvin Young sticks to the plan. Makes a nice sliding play. J.J. Hardy avoiding injury, able to leap over the top. Chen appreciates that good defense.
Young has had only 2 starts in left field. He's in, of course, now as a replacement. That ball is going to be fouled off. Altuve with a single. He's got the only hit so far for the Astros. The Orioles 3-4-0, and the Astros 0-1-0. It's too bad Wayne Kirby doesn't enjoy the day, huh?
I'm telling you, he is on those outfielders all the time.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Long way down the line, but foul, and that will end up in the seats. Altuve continues to pound Oriole pitching with that .417 average this year, .415 average in his career against the Orioles. Yesterday was the first time he's played against the Orioles in a game where he didn't get a hit. Went 0 for 4. Popped that one up outside of first base. Davis. And he's got it. Good play by Chris, who comes over and finds his spot. A 1-2-3 inning since the single by Altuve in the first. 9 in a row retired. Big one, the A's, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays to get back into division play. And on Saturday, the first 25,000 fans 15 and over will get the Manny Machado Platinum Glove bobblehead. Celebrate Manny's great defensive years, the #1 defender in the league. Tickets are going fast, so get yours at Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. Going to save a Manny Machado Platinum bobblehead for Cal Ripken Jr. He's made the request in writing, so Cal, you're going to get one. Is your mic turned on? Can you hear? I can hear you. That'll go down to third and foul. We want to make sure you got the bobblehead.
So I can't dodge the bobblehead question right now while I'm up here.
No.
I wanted to put Manny Machado's glove on to warm up for the first pitch, but I remember I didn't like people putting their hands in my glove either.
Right. You'd like his glove. It's a platinum model. Platinum edition.
Beautiful. He uses it really well too.
Hi, Cal.
I wish I had his arm though. Is really what I wish.
Right.
I saw you warming up earnestly down there with Wayne Kirby.
Wayne Kirby got yelled at by the rest of the team saying, "Get off the field. You have no business being on there with a glove in your hand."
So what brings you to Houston?
I was here for a couple of reasons. I did a signing, a big signing, sort of a national show where Boog and Pete Rose and Jim Palmer and Key Malajuan, a lot of the guys were there. But I'm also here with a corporate partner, Northern Safety, and we're working on a leadership safety message to be safer in the workplace. A lot of people think I played all those games out there because I played it safe, but your biggest protection is that you're alert and you're aware each and every day that there are dangers all around you, and that's what served me really well.
I sense that working with Mike Bordick on a daily basis. There's danger around.
Yeah, you're never safe. You are never safe.
What are some of the dangers that you have to avoid?
Wild pitches. Okay. I have to watch for those. Falling out of the chair is a constant problem. If he falls the other way, it's okay. But when he falls towards me, it's a tremendous danger.
Does Bordy have the responsibility on foul balls up here?
Yes.
Is that his job?
Because I'm under the table.
Okay.
I will be under the table and reacting when I see Bordy make the catch. How about a couple of months assessment for the Orioles, what you've been able to see?
You know, I haven't been watching them as closely as you guys have been watching them. The expectations are wonderful in Baltimore that, you know, they're good and they have a good team. And, you know, so we hold high standards. But I love the way the team goes out and plays. They're a great defensive team, number one. And I think, you know, they missed Manny early on in the season. But sometimes you discover a little depth that happens on your team. And the pitching staff, the bullpen has been, you know, phenomenal. So a few changes from last year, but it seems like they haven't missed a beat.
Yep. Crowd legitimately excited about it, and a tough road trip they're in right here. They can't wait to get back into division play. They've had 37 out of 40 games out of the division count. Sometimes that can be hard because you lose that heart thumping you get, huh?
Well, I guess that's what you forget when you're out in the beat of it every single day. It's hard every single day.
Yeah.
And this is a big game right here, even though we never like to say there was a big game. But losing the first couple games in, you know, being able to capture this one, and things are going pretty well so far.
J.J. Hardy's on at first base with that leadoff single. Jonathan Schoop had a base hit and a run scored. Lowe getting the home run for the Orioles. 2 RBIs on that shot, and they've added another. Long look, and Scott Feldman will not make the throw over. It's really got to bother Feldman with all the stolen bases against him, with blocked 2 hit batters in the game. He's got to be thinking about so much more than just the hitter.
Well, sometimes pitchers don't think about a lot out there on the mound. They look for a sign and just throw the pitch. I'm not saying that's what the case is now, but my experience is that sometimes trying to get a pitcher's attention in the middle of the game for any reason
doesn't work. Huh?
It doesn't work.
Yeah, Feldman historically really bad at holding runners on, and it appears that he doesn't care. He wants to keep his natural windup, doesn't want to speed up his delivery at all. So he takes what he gets. I mean, ground ball pitcher though, so really relying heavily on trying to get double play balls when runners are on.
That's the thing I remember about Davey Johnson. You know, Davey Johnson didn't have really a big philosophy of holding the runners on. He'd rather make a quality pitch to home plate. But there are times when holding a runner on first base, especially late in the game, or in a situation that keeps a double play in order, I just don't like giving the guy to second base.
Yep.
Figure out how you can hold him on. It benefits us all.
That's going to be a base hit up the middle, and Jonathan Schoop got a full piece of that one. And the Orioles start out this 4th inning now with runners on at first and second base, and they're going to get their home run hitter David Lowe to the plate against Feldman. That's 6 hits in the ball game for the Orioles off Feldman as we play here in the top of the 4th inning.
Hey, give me a scoop on Schoop.
Scopey good.
Because I've seen him a few times, and he swings the bat really well. It looks like he has some good skill turning the double play. He played him in a couple different positions, but I haven't seen him play enough, you know, to really get a feel.
Yeah, well, second base is his position. I think with time he could play any infield position. Kind of got thrown into third base with Manny Machado not starting the season there. You know, I think the game sped up for him at third, but he settled back in at second, really turning the double play as well as anybody. And for a big kid, incredible hands. You know, offensively, there have been some ups and downs, but there's a lot of power potential.
Lowe with a great bunt down to third. Dominguez with the second baseman Altuve coming over to cover. There's a nice sacrifice.
And those are the fundamentals that wins the 1-run games right there, and that was executed very well. I didn't realize how fast he was.
Yeah,
real time down the first.
Yeah, he can fly. Well done. Now David Lowe showing a little bit of everything: the home run, the 2-run home run, and now the sacrifice bunt. Well placed. That's what you want to do. Runners at first and second, have the third baseman field it.
He gets the congrats in the dugout. Now the Orioles, Nick Hundley will get the opportunity for the RBIs as Hardy moves over to third base. Jonathan Schoop down at second. Infield's going to be drawn in. Houston's had its problem scoring runs, so even here in the 4th inning, they want to try and cut one off if they can at the plate. Talking about Schoop, Cal, I think what really I've loved watching him, he loves turning double plays. I mean, his eyes glisten when around the bag at second. he thinks he does that really well, and I think he does, Mike.
Well, amazing hands, and he's such a big kid. He can keep his body there and turn it on the base. He's not afraid of contact. He'll take it. As a matter of fact, I think base runners sliding into those legs, they were a little fearful of it.
And the strength of his arm, I'm assuming it's really good.
Oh, very strong. Yeah.
I don't have a perspective of turning a double play from the other side. You do.
Yeah.
And the differences in shortstop and second base, many times it is you don't have your feet underneath you as a second baseman.
Sure.
And you have to rely on the strength of your arm to get it to first.
Well, he's definitely skilled enough and has good enough feet to be able to turn double plays coming across the base. But the bulk of his turns are just, he sets his left foot on and just when the ball comes has a nice quick release and just keeps the legs planted. I mean, so big and the great leverage and that strong arm comes into play all the time with him.
See if the Orioles can add to their lead here as Hundley flied out to center field his first time up. He's had a 1-for-4 in this series, and it's a big matchup right now at this point of the ball game. Base hit here can put 2 more up on the board, and as we've talked about, 4 is the magic number for winning ball games, not just for the Orioles, but in the majors this year. If you can get 4 or more, you're in pretty good shape.
Huge for the Orioles, especially. Hundley, no stranger to the big hit. His short period of time now with the Orioles came up with a game winner in Milwaukee.
Good start made by Corcoran right there to hold the runner at third base.
Feldman trying to get him to bite on that slow breaking ball. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, Cal, now this modern game of baseball, the sabermetrics have all come into play. You see the amount of shifts going on. Now you are the smartest infielder in the game, and you moved yourself. You knew your pitchers so well. What do you think about the over-exaggerated defenses now?
It's a loaded question, isn't it?
No, not really. No, not really at all. I mean, are hitters, is it their onus to try to make the adjustment?
No. Well, I mean, to me, there's something I like about it because it takes the data and it analyzes it. But there's not every situation, every pitch changes. The pitcher then, can he hit the spot? Can he not hit the spot? I used to make those judgments on a pitch-by-pitch basis. There's your general positioning, and then there's your modified positioning that takes place after that. And I think if you play everybody a certain way based on the stats, it takes some of those adjustments and moves away. So I don't like it inherently, but if there's a really good reason to play that sort of shift, and sometimes it's psychological against a big power hitter. Offensively, to deal with that, I would start looking to move the ball the other way, maybe bunt a little bit more. Say, okay, if you're going to give me this, and we're going to take it, yeah, I might not be swinging for the fences, but eventually you're going to have to change because we're putting guys on base. So I'd like to see more of a little bit of back control and trying to hit against that shift, which then would make them play you a little bit more true.
Some hitters, I think, Cal, you're right, they're going to have to, because the number of outs that are being recorded where in a normal fielding position, if there is such a thing anymore, are being denied. And Chris Davis knows that better than any of those balls between first and second that are being taken down. Here's the delivery that would get him. Feldman really working slowly to Hundley, and that breaking ball, that's the 3rd strikeout that he's picked up in the ballgame.
Well, it's such a slow pitch for Feldman. We talked about, that's his 2-strike pitch. He can slow a hitter down. It's so hard to wait on that, especially with 2 strikes. 76 miles an hour on a slow curve to get Hundley.
So the Orioles now with 2 away will move to the top of the order, and Nick Markakis. How about the replay rule? Have you had a chance to assess that, to feel about it, maybe as a fan? Yeah,
I like it generally. I always like the fact that you should use the technology to help the game and get them right. And the one thing that I've noticed that the umpires now are not so adamant when you come out there to challenge, because they have the replay there. And it used to be, if you question anything, the first thing they would say is, I had the right angle, I got it right. You're saying you're in the dugout, there's no way you could have it right. And then it just becomes combative.
Yeah.
But right now, it almost seems like, okay, we're gonna have a chance to look at it, and it's much more amenable. And I think the attitudes are much better. And in the end, you want to get that right. You want to make the play. So I think, generally speaking, it has a few things. That the pivot at second base has been an issue, whether you catch the ball or not.
Yeah.
And when you show instant replay, it never looks like you had possession of the ball in your hand. So they really need to judge that more like, did he really make the catch? And really, did he drop the ball because he was trying to make the transfer? So they got to change that a little bit to make sure that force out happens at second base. But other than that, I think it's working pretty well. Slowing the game down a little bit, 4 minutes, maybe per game, which is not anything for me.
They'd like to get that down to about 2, if they can, 2 minutes on those reviews, but It just sometimes takes a little longer because when you have a review, you got a real close play and you've got 15 angles or something that you're trying to look at in New York.
You know, I'd like to go back to that positioning real quick.
Yeah.
The sabermetrics part, I haven't seen where you identify what would have happened if I played it straight away, and how many outs would have been occurred, and what you would have hit if I played straight away as opposed to overshifting. I'd like to see those results.
The numbers we had day before yesterday, that the averages are down on line drives and ground balls by 30 to 40 points because of the positioning. Had you been in a normal instead of in a shift. Batting average 30 to 40 points.
I'd still question whether it was the quality of pitching. Is it we in a more pitching era and less hitting era, which might affect the batting averages too.
Cal, we appreciate it. Great seeing you.
My pleasure.
See you back in Baltimore. Fly ball out with the roof closed here at Minute Maid Park, and a lot of Oriole fans have been here with a 4-game set. For Oriole fans, a great time to come and see the ball club. For those who don't get to see them at Camden Yards, these 4 games provide an opportunity for a real good look at the ball club they're cheering for. Wei-Yin Chen has given up only 1 hit. The first batter, Altuve, had a leadoff single, and that's it. That's the only base runner. 9 in a row have been retired since. And here is Springer, who struck out his first time up. Springer, Fowler, and Dominguez 2, 3, 4 in the order.
Well, it's nice to see Wei-Yin Chen kind of feeding off of the 3 starters before him. Jimenez, Gonzalez, and Tillman, all with real quality starts. Chen really backing it up.
That one goes to right and misplayed a bit. Lowe started inning it over his head. He's having trouble finding it, and Springer will be on with a double to lead off the inning. A line drive that Lowe took 2 steps in on.
Yeah, he hit this ball hard. Now he's backspinning the ball to right field, gets his arms extended, and David Lowe tried to cut it off. His pursuit angle more lateral, and then he realized the ball was going to go deeper. Tried to make up some ground, couldn't quite make the play. Springer's 7th double this season.
So the young man stays hot. He's on at second base. Leadoff man on 2 out of 4 innings. Chen retires 62% of leadoff batters, a little low. Fowler, a strikeout victim, and with power. Dexter Fowler will take the pitch, and it is up high for a ball. Houston trying to get some runs on the board here as they stranded Altuve. This is the first runner that was in the first inning. This is the first runner to get the second in the ball game. Chen with a 1-0 and a check swing, and that's a called strike. Fowler arguing about it, thought it was low.
Pretty good pitch. Wei-Yin Chen's done a good job staying down there in the bottom of the strike zone with all of his offerings. You see his second pitch there, just painted right at the bottom third.
Fowler's .306 off lefties, about 80 points higher than against right-handers. 1 ball, 1 strike count, runner off second base, and that will come inside. Chen falls behind him, 2 balls and 1 strike. Chen piling up some pitches here. That's 55 thrown by Chen to record the first 9 outs of the ball game. Not trying to hold Springer at second, not wanting to give Fowler that any bigger room on the right side. And the pitch will be away. And Chen goes 3-1 with Dominguez waiting on deck.
He's had a lot of deep counts in this ball game, and that's why that pitch count has been riding high, but able to get some outs here along the way. Pitching coach Dave Wallace looking on.
3-1. Challenged him, and he couldn't catch up to it. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
There's been a lot of swing throughs with Chen's fastball, so I'm thinking that little extra life on the end. 91 miles an hour on the outer third. See Fowler now, great hitters count. Been a little bit of Fowler pulling his head off, trying to do too much.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Springer, the runner at second base. And he swings through that one, a 92-mile-an-hour fastball that was up.
There you go, 92. That's kind of the exploding fastball trick as it rides right up to the top of the zone. See it hit the spot up and away. 92, just a little extra on the end. Fowler goes down swinging.
Chen records his 5th strikeout of the ball game, and he has not walked anybody. Chen has had as many as 6 Ks, and that came a couple of times, including the last game against Milwaukee. It just doesn't look like these Houston hitters are seeing Chen's pitch very well, and that's credit to him.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, a little deception there. I mean, enough on the end. Sometimes it's hard for guys that throw the 4-seam fastball to get away with it, so they have to have a little bit of that extra life, and that's what Chen's featuring right now. A lot of swing throughs.
Dominguez, their center fielder, same pitch, same result. Another swing through, and the count goes to 0-2. Springer out there at second base with the leadoff double for the Astros. Chen with that set on the third base side of the rubber. And Dominguez will take the pitch up, which is where he wanted it, trying to get him to bite on one, and goes to 1-2.
Change the eye level a little bit. Not a bad idea. Waste one, getting up 0-2.
Dominguez, another one of these hitters, does real well against the lefties. 306, only 225 off right-handers. As we said earlier, the record 6-12, not good against left-handed starters, but the average against left-handers is good. 267.
One thing, and we've talked about through the series, that the Astros hitters have had a problem with is just the runners in scoring position, so not able to come through with the big hits when they need them.
1-2 delivery, and that'll be foul back, and that's what they're trying to do right here. Game 1, they were 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position, 3 for 7 in game 2, and then yesterday went 0 for 5. Bo Porter's team is last in the American League, 214 their team average. Springer's out there, and Dominguez trying to pick him up. 1-2 count, and that ball slashed the other way and foul. That has been something for many of the Orioles starters, but seemingly especially for Chen, that's added to that pitch count. The number of foul balls that have been hit this year against Orioles starters just seems to be an enormous number.
I know, it does seem like more than any other team. Just trying to find that payoff pitch, when to finish the hitter off, and limit some of the pitches, make them a little bit more efficient. Yeah, the foul balls rack up that pitch count.
Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way, and that one's in center field. Jones going back. It's a long, long way. The hill is right there. He'll catch it on that warning track. Springer will tag up. That's a 400-foot plus fly ball because it's 436. The dead center up that hill. That's a long out.
Adam Jones really likes this outfield. A lot of room for him to roam. Feels comfortable tracking down fly balls. Dominguez gets on this one. Quick drop step back. And he had that one lined up all the way. He knew he had an extra 30 feet to go if he needed to. The trick is it takes him up that hill. How do you make the adjustment?
That's where it gets a little nasty. So 2 down. 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position here in the inning. And that will bring up Carter, a strikeout victim, his first time up. Carter hitting only 194 in these situations. Shift on in the infield. And he'll take the pitch outside for a ball. The Orioles playing .500 ball all the way around. That's their record. 27-27. 15-15 in the month of May. 12-12 in the first month of the season. Been .500 and keeps them within 4.5 of the division leading Jays. That ball towards the hole, and there's a base hit. So they pick up one of those big hits. Springer will score, and Houston gets on the board, making it 3-1.
Well, when Carter makes contact, it's typically hard contact, a big power hitter, but he squares this one up and just hammers it through the shifted infield. Not a lot of time to react, and it's in the outfield past the diving Hardy to put the Astros on the board.
So Springer's leadoff double ultimately pays off. Carter gets his 22nd RBI. He hit number 3 for the Astros, 2 of them in this inning. Guzman grounded out his first time up. Jesus Guzman, the off-speed delivery, taken up high for a ball. Astros also trying to, even though they've won 2 out of 3, get their offense going. They've had 5 hits in each of their last 3 games. That's it. Second time this season they've done that. And only the Cubs, who have done it twice, have had fewer than 6 hits in 4 consecutive games.
Well, a lot of young hitters in this Astros lineup. The experience will certainly make them better, but there are going to be ups and downs throughout the course of the season.
Taken outside by Jesus Guzman. Have a good time in Texas talking about pitching. A couple of articles in the Dallas Morning Star. They are so struggling because of injuries to their starters. They are seriously thinking about naming 2 guys per game to pitch and then a bullpen. We'll get to talk more about that when we get to Texas. They're calling it the super utility bullpen move. Pitch is taken inside for a ball. So Chen surrenders his first walk, and the inning goes on with 2 down, 2 on. Our minor league report is brought to you by PNC Bank for the achiever in you.
Yeah, take a look at the Delmarva Shorebirds. 33-22 record this season. More than 10 games over .500 for the first time since the end of the 2008 season. They finished 78-61 then. Shorebirds in May, they have been red hot. 21-9 overall record. 13-2 at home there in Delmarva. And today they're leading Lakewood 11-2 in the 8th. So staying hot. There are some great young names we've had on the minor league report. The first round pick last year, Hunter Harvey, having a fabulous year. Sebastian Vader's got 7 wins. You know, a lot of good young players. Arcini was on here. He's hit 316. Yastrzemski's hitting close to 300. So led by Ryan Miner, the manager. Alan Mills, the pitching coach there, and Paco Figueroa, the hitting coach. Delmarva Shorebirds off to a good start.
And continued success. 2 on here, 2 down, slow roller. Grossman, Machado over to first, and a good pick by Davis. Danger right there, and a solid play. A run in on a couple of hits. 2 are left on base, and you see Chen shaking his head as he goes off, but he's up by 2. Orioles moment in history brought to you by Volkswagen. It was October 3, 1979. Pinch hitting for Mark Belanger, Game 3. 3-3, bottom of the 10th. This is the ALCS Game 1. John Lowenstein continued the miracle on 33rd. 0-2 count, walk-off shot. He hit .254 in 79, 34 RBIs, 11 home runs. None bigger than that one. Between innings, Wei and Chen. Chris Tillman having a word with him, starter to starter.
Well, you wonder what they're talking about. Of course, I don't know if Tillman speaks. Where's the interpreter there? None needed.
Manny Machado, what'll I say to Chen tonight for the interview afterwards for the postgame? He'll have his interpreter there. I just wish I had real good French going so I could ask him a question. He speaks perfect English. And the pitch is taken for a strike.
Well, I know Dave Wallace was speaking some perfect English at the end of that inning. Had a mound visit, okay, and then in the dugout, really was forceful, saying, "Come on, let's go, stay right there." And Dave Wallace has been pretty vocal with the starting pitchers, trying to get them fired up and really compete through. When they have innings that are struggles, bear down and really get the focus back.
Machado goes to short with this one, played by Villar. Manny's retired here in the 5th inning. He's got a 1-for-2 and been hit by a pitch in the game. Early voting numbers in for the All-Star game. Several lows near the top, including Matt Wieters, Nelson Cruz, J.J. Hardy, Chris Davis, Manny Machado, Adam Jones, and Nick Markakis. You can vote Orioles.com/vote-orange up to 35 times. And get a chance to win maybe an autographed All-Star game jersey. Go to Orioles.com/vote-orange today. Matt went out and threw again today. Matt Wieters working on that elbow. It all went well today. Tossed a little harder. Still felt good. They'll see how it feels tomorrow. It's a very slow process, and the decision time is July 1. So whether or not they think he's going to be able to come back and play this year, or whether or not they're going to have to think about Tommy John surgery on that elbow. And Buck Showalter was very clear today. It's not going to be sooner than that. At short, Villar again, play made. Young is retired in his first at bat.
Yeah, Matt Wieters on the throwing progression program. Hitting coach Jim Presley out there, but he's throwing to catching coach Jeff Russell. Brian Ebel looking on, and they're trying to extend it a little bit. I think it's coming out of there pretty good for Matt Wieters. It's going to take some time.
So in the meantime, Matt Wieters gets to watch impatiently, wanting to be out there in the field. 2 down here, and you saw Delman Young in his first at bat grounding out there. Nelson Cruz had to come out of the game, hit by a pitch on the back of the hand. He stayed in the game in the 3rd inning, and then came out defensively when the Orioles took the field. So we'll get an update on Cruz as we find out about it, whether or not any of those little bones in the back of that hand were hurt in any way besides just not feeling very good. 2 down, nobody on. Jones sac fly is grounded out. Scott Feldman, after a 1-2-3 inning here, he has not had one in the ball game. Orioles have stranded 4, the Astros 3. Feldman with no walks, 3 strikeouts with a wild pitch and 2 hit batters.
They missed a big scoring opportunity there in the last inning after a couple singles by Hardy and Scope. It was David Lowe who laid down a sacrifice bunt. Feldman able to pitch himself out of the jam with a strikeout to Hundley and then Markakis to fly out to center. But good day so far for David Lowe. The 2-run home run, sacrifice fly, sac bunt.
2-1 delivery on the way, and that's going to be their first strike. 2-2. You watched Corcoran, their catcher, at times, and he was doing it even in warm-ups with Feldman each of the innings. He will set himself up almost outside the catcher's box and outside the strike zone intentionally, trying to get Oriole hitters to chase and wanting Feldman to deliver it out of the zone. Like, that's pretty close. He'll go further out than that. It's the old Javi Lopez setup where you get that angle of the pitch coming in, which often favors the pitcher and gives him a target away rather than setting up in the strike zone. Corcoran's done that a number of times. He won't here. 3-ball, 2-strike count. And that slash to second. So a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the bottom of the fifth in Houston. Orioles up 5-2. Orioles baseball on Masson is brought to you by PNC Park for the Achiever in you, and by AT&T, mobilizing your world. With Mike Bordick, I'm Gary Thorne. We thank Cal Ripken for dropping by and joining us here for half an inning. If you like to skateboard, the park's outside in the rejuvenated area of downtown Houston, where this ballpark is located, where more residential buildings going on. A lot of real fine restaurants have moved into the area. It's becoming a very up and coming part of this city. Wei-Yin Chen looking for a victory. He's 5-2 on the year, 2-0 lifetime, 1-0 this year against Houston. Trying to add to those numbers. We go to the bottom of the fifth inning. Corcoran, Villar, and then Altuve at the top of the order. Strikeout victim, his first time up, one of the 5 picked up by Chen today, and that will miss for a ball.
Wei-Yin Chen kind of on cruise control through the first 3 innings, but that 4th inning, they kind of labor through leadoff double to Springer and a base on balls, but managed to get out of there with just the 1 run.
Just missed going over the bag. It is a foul ball. Back to the plate with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. On this road trip so far, the Orioles are 2-4. Their team batting average only .239. They've only scored 3.7 runs a ball game, and their ERA is 4.61. Towering pop-up right at the mound. Anybody, somebody. Second baseman Jonathan Scope puts it away, and there's the first out here in the 5th. And fans, tomorrow, all Masson Text Alert subscribers will have a chance to win a free Buck Showalter jersey and 3 $25 gift cards, all courtesy of our sponsor H.H. Gregg. Join Masson mobile text alerts by texting Orioles 29292 right now. One down here. That'll bring up Villar, who flied out to left field his first time up. Oh. And the pitch will be taken.
The neon green batting gloves didn't last very long, did they? He's back to some white.
Yeah. I mean, you get robbed of a hit,
right?
You know, with your gloves on that you got out of the slump with, and now you take them off. I wondered whether those things were even legal. Pitchers can't wear any of the stuff that stuff that flies around or is shiny or anything like that to distract the hitter. I was wondering whether those gloves would be considered a distraction for the pitcher, because they were neon. 2-0 delivery on the way, and that one will be fouled up under the girders and out of play. Villar with 1 hit, 1 for 7, and an RBI off that base hit in this series. Fine fielding shortstop for this Houston team, ranked 6th in defense in the American League. Chen with a 2-1.
Well, really, the one thing that separates some young players is, sure, you're going to struggle offensively. Are you still willing to keep your concentration and go out there and save some runs with your glove? Well, Villar, a very dynamic young shortstop. He's made some nice plays here in this series, and even his offensive struggles here recently he has not taken them to the field. So good concentration, helping his team win with the defense.
2-2 pitch will be inside. Chen goes full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Top of the order, Altuve waiting in yet another tight game. Every one of these 4 games has looked just like this. 3-2 delivery and a bloop to center field. Jones coming. He'll get there and we'll put it away. Let's take a look at what the month of May looked like for the teams in the American League East. That's why the Jays are on top. 21-9, the Blue Jays. The Yankees, they are 14-14, and then the Orioles 15-15. The Red Sox made a comeback, 13-15, and it's Tampa Bay that's in danger of starting to fall too far behind, 12-17 for the month.
Yeah, well, Tampa Bay, I think those injuries to the starting pitchers are starting to catch up with them. But the Red Sox, I think, are the story. They lost 10 games in a row in the month of May, but were still somehow able to get back to close to 500. They've won 6 in a row here recently. So up and down month for the Red Sox. Tampa Bay looking to try to get healthy. There's the Yankees. Tanaka has been red hot for them, so some consistent starting pitching. Really the story of the Blue Jays. Unbelievable.
Wow.
A lot of things working for them,
including Burley. Ground ball down to third. That will be foul. The Jays hitting all those home runs with Encarnacion leading the league in slugging. Cruz right behind him. It's been Cruz and Encarnacion in the long ball starting the day. 20 for Cruz, 18 for Encarnacion. Cruz 52 RBIs. Encarnacion's got 48. I mean, they're up there in the big numbers. Right off the end of the bat, a one hopper to Hardy. He'll make the throw and got him. Porter's going to come out on that one. Hang on. A very close play on Altuve, the league's leading stolen base artist, and also great speed down the line. So Porter will look back to the dugout where his video replay person will tell him to challenge or not.
Yeah, you cannot take a split second off with Altuve. He goes hard down the line every time, and that is a really close play.
They will not challenge. So a 1-2-3 inning for Chen, and the ball game remains 3-1 Orioles. You can join us on Tuesday for game 1 of 3 against the Rangers. Our coverage on Masson 2 begins at 7:30. O's Extra presented by Dodge, followed by our game coverage at 8 o'clock. All the access you need right here on MASN.
Let's take a look at these Texas Rangers, 28-28, 6 games back in the American League West, and they've lost 3 of their last 5 games this season. .266 batting average overall. That's second, so still have some offensive thump there, but some key injuries are starting to reach down in the minor leagues. Joe Saunders is going to be making the start in the first game, and he was just recalled. He was put on the DL, a stress fracture.
There's one against the shift, a base hit. So Chris Davis, who is 0 for 2, gets his second hit in the series, 2 for 15. It's not an intentional against the shift, but that's what it is.
There's a good look. The big shift off the end of the bat. Look at all the room as Dominguez goes to chase that one down. We're running about 40 yards to retrieve that baseball. Chris Davis will take it.
Orioles will pick up their 7th hit of the ball game. Hardy's got one of them. He's 1 for 2. He is also flied out. Feldman, 83 pitches thrown. Almost throws that one away. Upper had to go up to get it, and a 1-0 count.
Yeah, not very often you can say nice running play by the catcher on a pitch to home, but yeah, he had to come out of the gate there to stab that one up and away.
Defense shifted, playing to pull in the infield, and a big cut. Again, Feldman staying up with some of these pitches, getting the Oriole hitters to go after him. And a 1-ball, 1-strike count on J.J. Hardy. Hardy with the big numbers lifetime against this Houston franchise. The National League games he piled up against them while Houston was in the National League. Career .297 hitter against Houston with 10 home runs. 1-1. And then comes right back with the off-speed breaking ball that misses. 2-1.
Backed up on him. Almost caught that inside corner though. Corcoran holding the glove, trying to get the call. Pitch track there. A couple pitches up at the top of the strike zone.
2-ball, 1-strike count. Runner goes. Hit and run on. And it is fouled away. So Buck Showalter putting him in motion, and Davis will come back.
It's nice to see that the Orioles aggressive on the bases here, and it's not really taking a big chance. Feldman's so slow to home, and just can't control that running game. So why not exploit it? Buck Showalter has. Seems like every time runners get on, somebody's moving.
Hardy with a .303 average, just out of the top 10 in the American League in average. 2-2 count. Long hold. Davis not going, and a ground ball to the middle, and that's going to be a base hit. Hardy's on with a ground ball single, and the Orioles get the first 2 on here in the 6th inning, just as they did in the 4th. Well, I'd like to take a look at what's happened in the past, and fans get to talk all about, well, what do you think? A team that's in first place in the division, 1st of June, will they make the playoffs? Well, here are the numbers since 1969, when division play started in the American League. Only, and I think only is the word, 62 out of 108 leading the division on June 1 made the playoffs, either as the division winner or wild card. Most recently, the 13 Red Sox, 2013 Tigers. 26 of 62 teams made it to the World Series. 11 won World Series championships, 57%. So still a lot of room to move into a playoff position, even if you're not in a division lead going into the month of June.
Yeah, it's such a long season, and that's what you have to do. You try to keep your head above water. You try to.
That's going to fall in. Jonathan Scope's got a base hit. Davis stops at third. Throw all the way through, and Scope has got a 3-for-3 ball game, 3 singles, and the Orioles have loaded him up with nobody out.
Nice job. A little bloop single to center field. Good job, Bobby Dickerson, holding Chris Davis up. But here's a look at it. The breaking ball, not a bad pitch either. Out off the plate. He reaches out and puts it on some outfield grass to keep this little rally going here in the 6th inning. 3 hits on the day for Jonathan Scope.
9 in the ball game for the Orioles. And Lowe, impact player today. He hit the home run, his first of the year, 2nd inning, to give the Orioles the 2-0 lead. 2 RBI shots, sacrifice moving runners up in the 4th, and now the infield's in with nobody out and the base is loaded, and Lowe gets a chance to add to the 3-1 lead, and he does. It's going to be a blooper. Look at that knuckleball. 1 run will score. Grossman will get it back in, and the Orioles just kind of plunking balls everywhere here in this inning. That's 4 consecutive singles, and it's a 4-1 game.
Yeah, nothing hit really too hard. J.J. Hardy with the nice clean single up the middle, but look at this one. Pitch away, and David Lowe just beats it off the ground. Look at the high hop over Dominguez's head. My goodness. Good job of hit. David Lowe having a nice day. The home run, the RBI single.
That's 3 RBIs now for Lowe in the ball game. He came in with 3, so he's doubled his output on the year here in this game. And the Orioles go on top 4-1, and the Orioles have reached double digits in hits with 10, and still nobody out. So this has the makings of a big 6th inning for the Orioles. Fields in the bullpen. We've seen him in this series. When you play 4, you see about everybody. Hundley coming up, batting 9th. The Oriole catcher has struck out and flied out. Bases loaded and nobody out. Infield backs up a couple of steps, but they're still in.
Surprisingly, I mean, you can understand wanting to cut the run down at the plate, but boy, when an infield is playing double play, that you really want to try to take 2 outs in exchange for 1. They keep playing in. It gives a hitter extra opportunity, you know, with that drawn in infield, and can really lead to a huge inning. Risky play here by Bo Porter.
0-1 delivery on the way, and there's that breaking ball. The Orioles 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position so far today. This is like that cartoon conga line you see at the ballpark during rain delays. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun.
Yeah, Davis.
Base to base.
Yep.
With the 4 singles. 0-2 the count. And a timeout taken, I guess, by the home plate umpire.
Home plate umpire calls timeout. Second base umpire called a balk on Feldman, so Feldman got a little flustered.
Yeah.
Hey, he called timeout, so we had to step off and regroup.
Oof. Wagner didn't realize the home plate umpire had asked for timeout. Here's the 0-2 delivery. A little number. In fact, you could hear Wegman holler balk.
Yeah.
And Feldman kind of turned around like, what?
Wait a second.
Wait a minute. The umpire standing in front of home plate. They get that ironed out. 0-2 count. He's already had 1 balk in the game. Here's the delivery, and a pitch will be up high. Lead runner Hardy, while arguably fleet of foot, having scored twice this year from first base on base hits, as he points out daily. Wheels Hardy is the lead runner at 3rd.
A dirty Oriole, though. Like that.
1-2 delivery, and that's going to be fouled off. So Nick Hundley hanging in there, battling as Feldman wants the ground ball or the strikeout here to prevent that run from scoring, and then he can back the infield up and try to get out of it. The ground ball double play.
See that pitch track kind of peppering the strike zone, but it's all those slow curve balls he'd gotten Hundley earlier with the slow breaking ball. He's trying to get him again.
1-2. Hundley coming over from the Padres. He was hitting .271 there, had a homer, 3 RBIs for San Diego. 1-2 pitch, and that will be down the line right field. That ball back near the wall. Springer reaching, makes a fine catch. Runners will all tag, and they will all advance. A sac fly. Hardy will score. Second run of the inning. RBI, and almost put that one out of the yard. Good play by Springer.
A nice piece of hitting there by Hundley. Ball's behind 2 strikes. Feldman trying to sneak a fastball, but he gets the good part of the wood on it. And yeah, Springer did make a fine running play. Ends up slipping out there on the warning track. Gets the ball back in. Hardy able to score easily. Runners advance, so still threatening here in this inning. So good at bats for the Orioles.
Hundley gets his second RBI as an Oriole. Hardy crossing the plate. And the Orioles have a 5-1 lead. Runners at second and third, one out. They're going to intentionally walk Nick Markakis with Manny Machado waiting on deck. So the intentional pass surrendered here to Markakis. Nick will pick up his second intentional pass of the season, as Houston wants to create the force situations, and they're going to check with the bullpen. Fields has been out there warming up, should be ready if they want to make a change.
The Orioles, even though they haven't been scalding the ball this inning, finding a way, moving runners up and plating them. The pressure on Feldman.
This will be the third at bat this inning with the bases loaded. Feldman's already got that pitch count up there. Manny Machado, a double, run scored, hit by a pitch, stolen base, and he's grounded out. He's been heavily involved in this game, and the pitch will be taken for a ball. So the Orioles trying to erupt here. They've already put a couple up in the inning. Machado got locked up on an inside pitch, went around, couldn't stop on that 1-1.
I love two-seam fastball, keeps chasing Machado in there. Manny thinking he can pull the trigger with that late movement. He tries to hold up, a little slip causes that bat head to go out in front for a strike. See, Feldman pitches up to 102, season high 106.
And that's right off meat part of the bat and right straight back. For Manny Machado this year, he's only had one chance with the sacks full. He is 0 for 1. Orioles got 4 consecutive singles. Davis, Hardy, Scope, and Lowe. Then the sac fly by Hundley. Intentional pass to Markakis. Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way, and a ground ball off his foot. Count will stay at 1-2.
One of those two-seamers working its way in. And trying to catch up with this one. It's right off that instep. All padded up, got the big high top shoes on.
Big at bat. Base hit here really gives the Orioles a substantial lead in this game. Machado 1-2. Infield backup, double play depth. And the pitch will be taken outside. 2-ball, 2-strike count. Feldman having to throw a lot of pitches to get the outs, trying to work his way through the 6th inning.
Well, the Orioles have been playing some real tight ball games here on this road trip. They would like to create some more separation.
That one deep to left field. It is way back. And goodbye. A grand slam home run for Manny Machado.
There you go. Some good at bats here this afternoon for Manny Machado. Had a double earlier. He was able to get the good part of the wood on there with the bases loaded. First career grand slam for Manny Machado. That's creating some separation there. The Orioles take that 9-1 lead.
So Machado will take Feldman out of the ball game, put the Orioles into the 9-1 lead. His 3rd home run of the year. With one swing of the bat, he almost equals the total number of RBIs he had coming in, which was 5. With that swing of the bat, he's got 4 more. And Machado knew it. Here in Houston, a ballpark he will love forever. It's the Orioles 9 and the Astros 1.
On one. Ball came off his bat really hard. Grand slam home run. His first career grand slam home run, knocking Feldman out of the ball game. 5 1/3 innings, 11 hits. Orioles offense coming to life this afternoon. 9 runs, all of them earned. Just the 1 walk. 3 strikeouts on the day for Feldman.
So the Orioles do indeed have a big inning. 6 runs in so far in the 6th, still only 1 away.
Josh Fields now coming in, 7.20 earned run average, but that got elevated early on in the season. He was sent down, called back up. 28 strikeouts to 9 base on balls. Had a pretty good outing here in this series. Good live fastball. Here's a look at it right there. His velocity can get up to the mid 90s, 97 at times. Curveball and change to go along with it.
Delvin Young into the ball game as a replacement for Cruz, who had to go out after being hit by a pitch in the back of the hand. Young getting his second at bat. He'll tower one up to right field. Springer will move in underneath it, and he's got it to record the out. The Orioles will have batted around with Adam Jones coming up to the plate. For every Orioles walk, Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield contributes $50 to support Be More for Healthy Babies. 131 walks. Care First Blue Cross and Blue Shield encourages each of us to take that first step towards a healthier and more active lifestyle. The total at $6,550. Talk about a move that backfired. Nick Markakis intentionally walked to load the bases ahead of Manny Machado, who delivers a grand slam home run.
Yeah, well, that at bat by Manny, pretty good one. Feldman working away off the plate, trying to do some chases. Came inside with a 2-seamer a couple times to get Manny to check swing. Well, that grand slam pitch, he wanted to go back in there. He made a mistake and left it on the heart of the plate. Manny didn't miss it.
A shattered bat to center field. It'll be handled by Fowler, and Jones is retired. So the Orioles bat around in the 6th inning. The highlight, the grand slam by Manny Machado in a 9-1 lead. Always hope the folks are watching. Sunglasses that match.
Yeah.
When we put these photos up, or at least friends to tell them.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, Wei and Chen, we mentioned earlier, he's used to getting a lot of run support, and here it goes again. 3rd in the American League in run support, 6.67 coming into the ball game in his starts, and that's going to be upped. The Orioles already have 9 on the board in the game.
Well, it seems like every year there's one lucky pitcher that gets a lot of run support. Well, Wei and Chen's getting it this year for the Orioles. He's having a good ball game, though, throwing the ball well. 84 pitches right now. Really establishing that fastball, moving it around the plate. Like the outing from Wei and Chen.
He'll take it to the 6th inning. There is Manny Machado. What a ball game for Machado. A double, the grand slam home run, stolen base, hit by a pitch. Across the plate twice. Pitch is in there for a strike. Here's George Springer. Springer with a double. 1 for 2 in the game. Fowler and then Dominguez to follow. Orioles with 2 Grand Slam home runs this season. Nelson Cruz has the other one. And the pitch will miss from Wei-Yin Chen. 1 ball, 1 strike. So the Orioles give themselves a real shot at evening up this series. Chen's going to miss inside. Obviously Chen's job now, throw strikes.
Yeah. Stay aggressive. We talked about last 2 starts, no walks. He does have 1 in this ball game, but pretty good at throwing all of his pitches for strikes.
2 ball, 1 strike delivery on the way, and a big rip.
Springer wanted to hit that one a mile, 93 miles an hour, though elevated up and in. He can't quite get to it. Let's look at the pitch track. Pitch number 4. Pretty good location there. Good spot.
Delivery by Chen. A ground ball down to third. Machado's got no chance. Right on the cut of the grass he slipped. That'll be a base hit. So Springer's got his 2nd hit of the ball game. He is 2 for 3.
I've seen some slips here. Springer slipped in the outfield. Manny Machado taking a nice deep angle there, and that's actually the front foot that goes out from underneath him. Able to make the play on Springer.
It looks like, Mike, it's very wet out there. If you pull back and look at the color of the dirt right there, it is much darker than other portions of the infield. In fact, a lot of the infield looks real damp.
Yeah, it really does.
And a little slipping and sliding going on. And that pitch will be fouled off. In my continuing examination of the official baseball rule book.
What do you got for us?
Well, no, I was looking at the official. There's a whole section in the rule book dedicated to the official scorer and the one about hits. We often talk about that. What's an error and what's a hit kind of thing. The official scorer under the rule book is supposed to allow for a hit unless in the scorer's judgment the ball could have been handled with ordinary effort. That's the standard used. Would ordinary effort have resulted in an out? And then there's a comment to the rule that the official scorer shall always give the batter the benefit of the doubt. It says a safe course for the official scorer to follow is to score a hit when exceptionally good fielding of a ball fails to result in a put out.
There you go.
Be a test on this tomorrow at 10. A 2 ball, 1 strike count on Fowler. Fowler has struck out twice in the 3 spot in the lineup. He'll foul that one straight back.
Chen looking good, pumping the fastballs in there, keeping it down, not hurting himself. He hopes that single from Springer with the slip of Manny Machado doesn't hurt him. Keep executing the pitches down in the zone.
4 hits on the board for the Astros. Well, the Yankees have lost their ball game today, and is the Twins with a 6-run 9th inning. They come away with a 7-2 victory in that ball game. The Yankees had only 3 hits in the game. Robertson took the loss. Their closer 0-2. Hughes got the win 6-1. 2 ball, 2 strike count. And that ball fouled away.
Good fastball there. Take a look at Wei-Yin Chen's pitch arsenal today. Using that fastball at 64%. Mixing in the breaking balls at 20% and change 16. So pretty much right on par by Wei-Yin Chen. I like the way he's throwing his fastball, though. Holding good velocity. That one, last pitch to Fowler, a 93-mile-an-hour fastball inside.
And a timeout asked for with the runner back to first base. Brad Brock up in the bullpen for the Orioles. Fowler with that 2 ball, 2 strike count. Springer off first, not going anywhere with a 9-1 deficit for them. And the pitch will be taken up high.
I think the Astros is going to go station to station for a while as they fight to try to get back in this ball game. The Wei-Yin Chen's pitch track Steadily working him away. That one fastball inside. Now I'm going to come up with a pitch to try to finish him off.
Yep. And there it is.
He does. Right back to the outside corner. That was the go-to spot for Chen throughout this at bat. Trying to get him to fish. And this one works its way outside, way off the plate. Another good fastball from Chen to get Fowler.
And that will be it for Chen. So he will come out having worked 5 1/3 innings with the necessary time to pick up his 6th win. And as Buck Showalter's want to do, it's about trying to rest the starters sometimes in a situation like this where you can get them out of a ball game with a big lead. This pitching change should be quick, just like a Jiffy Lube signature service oil change. At Jiffy Lube, they get you in and out fast, and you never need an appointment. When he left, doesn't look a guy who's going to win a ball game, does it? 5 1/3 innings. He probably wanted to stay in a little longer, and in a way that's good. In another way, in this day and age, that's the way it is.
Yeah, he showed a little frustration there at the end, wanted to stay in, but a not bad start for Wei-Yin Chen. Had everything working, good fastball inside, good breaking ball. There's a tight slider right there. Gets Corporon locking him up on a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Fastball was the pitch he established. He went to it regularly. Here, another big strikeout at the end. Brock now in the ball game.
1 down. A runner on at first base, Springer. Dominguez is flied to center twice.
Look at Brad Brock's numbers, 7 games this season, working to lower that earned run average of 4.76 right now.
And the pitch will be taken outside for a ball. Lying on the starter, Wei-Yin Chen.
5 1/3 innings, just the 4 hits given up, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, matching a season high 97 pitches. A lot of pitches thrown, a lot of deep counts there, but just the 1 base on ball. He just wanted to get a little bit deeper.
Swings over the top of that one. Brad Brock called up from AAA for the 2nd time on May 16. Brock, AAA with the Norfolk Ball Club, was 2-1 at a 4.85 ERA. Pitched in 12 games there before the first recall. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Dominguez. And a swing and a miss. So that will be a strikeout for Brock and the 2nd out of the inning.
Good fastball here from Brock. Now he throws across his body, so there's some deception, and he dots this 93-mile-an-hour heater on the outside corner to get Dominguez right by him. Good location, good velocity.
Mark Burley has become the Major League's first 10-game winner today. It's a shutout. The Blue Jays shutting out Kansas City 4-0 in that game. The best start for the 35-year-old in his 15-year career. Encarnacion had a 2-run homer in the ball game. Deanna Navarro had a solo shot. Jeremy Guthrie, the former Oriole, took the loss. So Toronto back at it with a 4-0 win over KC.
Really amazing.
Early's just wow. 10-1. It's pretty good.
It sure is. And he's just not. He's getting deep in ball games. Yeah. He's eating up innings just the way he's done his whole career. Wei and Jen a little frustrated.
That ball will be nubbed foul. Carter with a base hit and an RBI that came in the 4th inning, accounting for the only run. Springer had led that inning off with a double, and then the base hit to bring the run home. But Burley in the game, he went 8 innings, no runs, 6 hits, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. 1 ball, 2 strike count on Carter. Shift on in the infield against him. He goes the other way in the outfield. That's pretty deep, low back at the wall. And a nice running catch. David Lowe in that little V out there gets a kick in the pants from Jones for making the nice play. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 left on base. David Lowe hauls it in to end the inning. Our Honda do-ups when we come back to Houston.
Minute Maid Park. David Lowe looking to get back on track. Well, it's in his power zone, and he hammers a 2-run shot to deep right field, putting the Orioles on the board. Nelson Cruz, the world's best hitter right now. He takes one off the top of the left hand. He's out of the ball game. Manny Machado looking to get back on track as well. 98 miles an hour off the bat, and it is a towering shot. It's not just a home run, it's a grand slam. First grand slam of Manny's career. Remember, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And here at the top of the 7th inning, Orioles winning 9-1. Paul Clemens now into the ball game out of the Astros bullpen. 8 games this year, a 4.08 earned run average, 9 strikeouts, 6 base on balls in his time working. Got a 4-seam fastball, 91-95, curveball, and a change.
And he will work to Chris Davis. And Davis will try and go the other way and fouls it off. They make some defensive changes as Presley, who we've seen as a DH, comes on to play in center field. And Gonzalez will be at second base for Altuve, playing way back with that shift on. So changes made by Bo Porter as the Orioles bat in the 7th inning with a 9-1 lead. Clemens pitch, and that will be taken outside. Clemens just rejoined this club today as they continue to rotate some pitchers. You recall from Oklahoma City AAA, Brett Oberholzer, who started against the Orioles, was sent down. So not only did Oberholzer lose the opportunity to be the 5th starter, he got sent down.
Wow, that's pretty interesting too. Now, he had a real good start against the Orioles, and you kind of wonder what the thinking is. I kind of look at that Oberholzer as, he could potentially have some spot starts, but I think a nice long man out of the bullpen certainly showed enough stuff. The value in 3 of his pitches that he can get some depth.
There's a breaking ball, and Davis will be retired. Chris had started that big sixth inning with a base hit the other way. Strikes out to start this one. Time's running out for your chance to bet on these special jerseys and caps the O's wore on Memorial Day to honor the armed forces. Show your support. Go to Orioles.com/cameo jerseys. Place your bid on these items. Jerseys, caps, autographed players and coaches who wore them. They've been authenticated, and the Fort Meade Alliance Foundation benefits. Bidding closes midnight Monday. That's Orioles.com/cameo jerseys. There's J.J. Hardy. He's upped his average to 307. A couple of hits, 2 for 3 in the ball game. Orioles have struck out only 4 times in the game. Feldman had 3. Clemens gets the first. 0-1 pitch down to third base. Dominguez.
Nice offensive day actually for the Orioles to this point. The 11 hits, there's the 9 runs on the board. It's been a while since they've had, a comfortable separation themselves and their opponent. Today a nice bust out day. Some big time contributors. Manny Machado hitting his second double, and then of course that grand slam home run. But David Lowe, who's kind of been scuffling this season, a 2-run shot and a single. Jonathan Scope as well, kind of an up and down offensive year, but 3 hits so far today.
Here is Jonathan Scope, and a big swing and a miss on it. He's had a great day. 3 for 3.
Take a look, Jonathan Scope. The inside the numbers brought to you by Jeep. His first at bat was a single, 96 miles an hour off the bat. Second one, 98 mile an hour single, and then a little blooper. His third single at 65. Of course, it helps the velocity off the bat, picking up some base hits. That just shows placement sometimes can be more important. 65 miles an hour to pick up a base hit.
0-2 count, 2 down, nobody on here in the 7th inning. Scope. Jonathan came into this 0 for his last 14 and gets the 3 for 3. So the Orioles have ended the streak as far as the hits are concerned. They had fewer than 10 hits in 5 consecutive games. That was the 4th longest active streak in the majors. They got rid of that in a hurry with 11 hits put up on the board in this one. And the pitch will be taken down low. The Astros still trying to find a game where they get more than 5 hits. They've had 5 in each of the last 3 games, and they had 4 in this one. Jim Presley, the hitting coach of the Orioles. A lot to be happy about with the troops' performance. That'll be fouled off, scattering folks at the end of the dugout. Paul Clemens out of Burke, Virginia. He was a South Carolina born native and then moved into Burke down 95, where he makes his home, and originally picked up with the Giants, traded to Houston from Atlanta along with Oberholzer in the Michael Bourne deal. He's been a starter in the minors. That ball is tagged, got a lot of good wood on it and a lot of room in that power alley. And it will be hauled in as Presley comes over to get it. So Clemens has a 1-2-3 inning at 7th inning stretch time in this final game of the year between these 2 ball clubs. And the Orioles well on top here, 9-1. Brock will come back out trying to preserve that big lead and the win. of the Baltimore Orioles and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Baltimore Orioles. Back here in Houston with the roof closed at Minute Maid Park. Gary Thorne and Mike Bordick. Take a look at our Major League Notebook on the This Date in History page. 1925. Lou Gehrig began the streak. It would end up 2,130 straight games. He came off the bench to pinch hit for a rookie infielder, Pee Wee Wanniger. And that was the end for Wanniger and the beginning for Gehrig. 75, Nolan Ryan recorded his 100th career win, his 4th career no-hitter. It came against the Orioles at Anaheim Stadium in a 1-0 win. And in 1992, the Astros selected Phil Nevin over Derek Jeter in the draft and will forever be reminded of that, as Nevin out of Cal State Fullerton was a big prospect, obviously, and Jeter from Kalamazoo Central High. The decision made to go with the more experienced player, if you will. Ever since then, we've heard the story.
Yeah, right. And, you know, there are a lot of stories like that. I mean, the Major League Draft, it isn't easy. There are great players all over the country, but some teams need, you know, the more polished players, the guys that have gone to college. They don't really have a lot of time to wait for the development of a high school player. And really, who's to say that Derek Jeter was going to turn out to be, I think, arguably one of the greatest Yankees of all time.
The Orioles are going to draft 90th in the draft here this month.
Yeah.
Just talking with Ed Duquette about that, and they have the least amount of money allotted to spend, not by the Orioles, but by rules. The Orioles will have the fewest amount of dollars to spend regarding the draftees and free agents, and the kind of smiling running comment has been, who do you think will be available in the 90th?
Yeah.
That's pretty far down the line. Houston will be at the other end of the draft selection process. Here is Guzman. Guzman with a swing and a miss. He has walked and grounded out. Rock on to try and finish it up as the Orioles trying to put this ball game away, get back above 500. 27-27 coming in. They need to do that to stay 4.5 behind Toronto. That's a foul ball. 1 ball, 2 strike count.
Now that Major League Draft stuff, it's not easy business. You know, there are top players. You know, I think that everybody projects them out as being #1 picks, but when you get past that first round, then it's a lot tougher. So up to really, good scouts to do their homework and have good projections about players, especially some of the younger high school type players they go after. There are diamonds in the rough out there.
Yeah. I mean, you really don't know. I mean, you're talking about such young ages that the transformation, maturing or not, that's going to come over the next 4 or 5 years is enormous. And you're trying to make predictions. Hell, the parents who know him, see him every day, can't do that.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
2 ball, 2 strike delivery on the way, and that's going to be a base hit. So Guzman is on. He picks up the single to lead off the bottom of the 7th inning. He is 1 for 2 in the ballgame. Oriole fans can earn rewards for sharing and posting Orioles content on social media by joining the O's Bird's Nest. Join the conversation now at osbirdsnest.com. Enter today's bonus code ERA before midnight tonight. Get 2 bonus tokens and be entered for the monthly prize of the autographed player photo or the year-end prize of tickets to next year's opening day. That's O's Bird's Nest. Join in. Grossman is grounded out, and pitch will be taken away a couple of times in the ball game, and the ground ball out. 0 for 2 for Ravi Grossman. The Yankees lost today. David Robertson had the blown save. He worked 2/3 of an inning, gave up 5 runs on 2 hits and 3 walks in the game. And that ball's tagged right field, way back near the seats and off the top of the wall. Thought that was gone. Lowe will get it back in. Stopping at third base will be Guzman. And Grossman's on at second with a double that just missed the yellow line for a homer.
He really got on that pitch, a line drive. Up 340 feet away. This pitch about center cut. He gets the arms to it. The bat head driving to it and misses a home run by a couple feet. Ball ball hit so hard it kicks off that wall, and then David Lowe has to chase it back towards the infield. Houston threatening here. A couple runners on.
Nobody out in the 7th inning. Corcoran coming up. Their switch hitting catcher. He has struck out and popped out. He's got a 2 RBI chance here with the base hit. Brock's pitch is going to be low. Hundley moving in to stop it. Ball 1 count. Astros now have picked up 6 hits in the game. Each team has left 4 on base. The Orioles' big inning in the 6th when they batted around 6 runs, 5 hits. And one would think enough to put a game away. That ball in the air to right. Lowe will get there. Guzman will tag. Lowe's throw to the cutoff man will be cut off. Guzman will score. Corcoran will get the RBI and the sac fly, and it's 9-2.
You want to try to minimize the damage. Corcoran, a nice job actually picking himself up an RBI. Every out counts here at the end of the ball game. Want this 7-run lead to dwindle.
9-2. Runner still at second base. Grossman. Corcoran picks up his 9th RBI of the year. Villar 0 for 2 in the ball game. Switch hitter against Brad Brock with the 1 out on the board, and it will be fouled back into the screen. Orioles day off tomorrow. We'll rejoin you from Arlington, Texas for the 3 games there. On Tuesday, Ubaldo Jimenez and Joe Saunders, Bud Norris, Nick Martinez game 2, Miguel Gonzalez, Kobe Lewis in game 3. And the 0-1 pitch will be outside. 1 ball, 1 strikeout. Preston Gilmet in the bullpen for the Orioles. Showalter just wanting this to be over.
Yeah, he would hope he could give some arms out in that bullpen a little bit of a break. The off day tomorrow. Brock struggling a little bit here. A couple hits in this inning. 1 run given up. But have to extend through, not have to use up too many arms to finish out this game.
1-2 count on the number 9 hitter. Grossman the lead at second base. Brock's delivery. It'll just miss outside. So the count even up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sunday afternoon at the ballpark in Houston to begin the month of June. The Orioles looking forward to getting back home next Friday. Start the homestand. And a swing and a miss. He kept it perfectly located. Second strikeout.
Great fastball there. Now Brock does have a good fastball, 93 to 94 miles an hour. He works this one on the outside corner. Villar hasn't been seeing the ball too well. A few at bats, and that one able to sneak by him. Good pitch. Only giving him some props on the end.
Here is Marwin Gonzalez. This will be the first at bat that he's had, as Altuve came out after the Orioles got that big 9-1 lead. He had a base hit in the ball game. Altuve did 1 for 3. Gonzalez started at shortstop yesterday in place of Villar, and ended up with a 1 for 3 in the ball game. Orioles will be getting home to Camden Yards on Friday. Oakland for 3, Boston for 3, and Toronto for 4. Back into division play finally after this stretch of 37 out of 40 out of the division. Almost forgotten what they look like, but boy, once the division play starts up again,
yeah, exactly. For the Orioles, I think at the beginning of the year they were projected as playing the toughest schedule in the game, and it's unfortunate for them. I mean, they run into Milwaukee that wasn't supposed to be that strong, but they had gotten great starting pitching in their first place in their division. Orioles ran into them here on the start of this road trip, and who'd have thought the Astros would be playing as well as they had. You know, a couple key contributors in Springer and Altuve doing well, but their starting pitching has done a good job. So a real challenge here coming into the 4-game series. On to Texas, and then boom, back to Oakland, leading the West, playing good baseball, and of course the Red Sox playing better baseball here recently. And the Blue Jays, of course, with a monster month of May.
Exciting baseball coming up here in June and thereafter. Pitch is going to be taken outside. The good news, Nelson Cruz had to leave the ball game when he was hit by a pitch. The good news is the x-rays on the back of that left hand where he was hit are negative, and he is day to day. He stayed in the ball game as a base runner after having been hit, and then when the Orioles went back out on the field, he came out. He had started in right field today. There's a free pass with 2 down. Gonzalez is on. Runners at first and second, with 2 away for Springer. This is where it gets a little touchy. It's a 9-2 ball game, but this guy with 1 swing of the bat can put 3 more up there for Houston.
Well, it's never easy. I mean, I don't care what team you're playing up against, but there are dangerous hitters throughout this Astros lineup. And you just don't like to see the walks. You want to stay aggressive, trust your stuff, getting those kind of opportunities. Hurt yourself.
Springer with a double single, and he has struck out. That will bring Dave Wallace on the run to the mound.
Just trying to slow him down right here.
Look at me. See that?
Yeah. Kind of fast out there, getting ahead of himself. Want him to stay back, get behind the baseball, trust his stuff. Short and sweet.
You said Dave Wallace doesn't mince words. There are expectations for pitchers on things you got to do, and one of them is with a 9-2 lead, you don't walk people. So 2 down, 2 on here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Wei Chen a chance to win it, gave up just a run on 4 hits over 5 1/3. Pitch on the inside corner for a strike. Chen had 6 strikeouts, only 1 walk in the ball game. Springer backs out on the 1-ball 1-strike call. Grossman down there at second base. Lead runner Gonzalez at first, swing and a miss. Over the top of that one. 1 ball, 2 strike count.
Nice breaking ball right there from Brock. Getting back in the strike zone will help all of your pitches. It's going to do just what you saw there. George Springer chasing a tough pitch down in the zone. So be more consistent in the zone. And ultimately, you're going to get more chases on the borderline pitches.
And just missed with that one. 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Orioles in the month of May that's now gone, tied for second. Oakland in home runs, 9th in slugging for the month of May. Nelson Cruz led the majors. And all those home runs, of course, 13 long balls. And that'll do it here. So Brock comes back to get the strikeout, a run in on a couple of hits with 2 left on base, 7 complete in Houston. MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. At Bat brings you baseball wherever you are. Live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, highlights, audio, and a free MLB TV game of the day. Download it, MLB.com at Bat, the App Store, or go to Orioles.com. Brock having a little discussion there.
Well, yeah, I mean, Dave Wallace on top of these guys, recognizing maybe some mechanical flaws or just how to sequence the pitches a little bit better. Staying on top of it, taking care of it right now so it doesn't happen again.
Orioles bat in the 8th inning. And David Lowe will foul it off. Lowe with his biggest ball game yet with the Orioles. First home run, 2nd inning, 2 RBIs. Sacrifice, moving runners up, and then an RBI single, part of that big 6th inning. And with Lowe and Machado both having home runs, Ken Dreyer, our Maryland lottery contestant, $1,000 more. So far, a $1,500 day for you, Ken. Congratulations. We're not done yet.
Nice day.
We'll buy a few crabs. 1 ball, 1 strike count. And the breaking ball lashed down the line. It is going to be foul. Went upstairs to get that one.
Not a bad swing. The home run that David Lowe hit out of the ballpark was an elevated pitch as well, top of the strike zone, and he stayed on top of it. Well, he did there too on an off-speed pitch. Just got out ahead of it a little bit to pull a foul down the line. It would be really nice, David Lowe, to get his confidence back and have more consistent at bats, because he can really be a positive shot in the arm to this Orioles offense.
And got him. He caught it. Wow, Lowe was waiting to see what the call was going to be, but that ball was fall tipped and pretty hard. Corcoran came up with it.
Big breaking ball here from Clemens, dropping at the bottom of the zone, and he's showing the glove. Foul ball, but it did go into the glove. Here it is. Look at the big 12-6 breaker. Corcoran able to get the glove underneath. Pretty good play.
Umpire went one way, the glove went the other. Foul tip, then caught. 2 strikeouts for Paul Clemens since coming on. Hundley up. He's got a sac fly RBI. He struck out and flied out. By the way, for David Lowe picking up that home run, it's only his 6th major league home run. He's equaled his highest output as an RBI for a game with 3. Done it once before. 1-0 count on Nick Hundley. Breaking ball way up in the air and foul.
Well, one of the things that head coach Jim Presley has been working with David Lowe on is actually trying to keep the ball out of the air. But when you have a nice flat bat path like he put on the home run, Presley will take that every time. Problem is, you get caught up in that thinking that he's plenty strong enough to hit home runs, but his game is speed. More ground balls, hard ground balls he can put in play, more opportunities. He's going to give himself to raise that batting average, get on base.
That goes to short. Tough play. Villar long throw, and he got it there. 2 down. Dominguez tried to cut that off. He would have had a much easier play, but he couldn't get to it, so Villar had to circle it and make the strong throw to first base.
Nice running play by Villar.
2 down, bases empty. Here's Nick Markakis. Base hit his first time up. That continued the hit streak to 7 games. He's the DH in the ball game today. Since then, his struck out, flied out, drew an intentional pass that backfired on the Astros, as it was Manny Machado who came up after the intentional pass and hit the grand slam home run. A scary moment in the ball game for Nick. That base hit he got in the first inning, the throw from Villar was never touched by the first baseman and hit him in the helmet on the side of the head. Unfortunately, all right. 1-0 delivery and foul back.
I guess the fortunate part, I mean, it's unfortunate he got hit in the head, but the throw from Villar was off balance, so he wasn't able to get behind it. So the speed of the ball wasn't that much, but you never know. Getting hit in the head nowadays, what it can do. But he was checked out fine.
goodness for that. 1 ball, 1 strike count. I saw Salt Lamaki had to go on the DL today. That 7-day concussion DL. He took a shot off the mask. Sometimes these things don't show up until the next day or even a couple of days later, right, where there are some lingering effects, and that's when they don't take any chances, and that's why they created that concussion DL. 1 ball, 2 strike count of Markakis, 2 down.
I'm surprised it doesn't happen with catchers more often.
I am too,
to be honest with you.
Yep. 1-2 delivery, and the breaking ball stayed up a little too high from Clemens. No question, in the past it happened a lot and was never talked about. They didn't even know it happened. 2-2. And he swung through it. 95, right back for a little heat on that one, and the Orioles are retired in order. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Lead, trying to even up the series at 2-2 with a victory today.
Preston Guillemette now comes in out of the Orioles bullpen. He's been in 6 games this year, 2.57 earned run average, 9 strikeouts, just the 1 base on balls, and the only reason he actually has that earned run average is because of the Astros right fielder. He gave up, there it is, his last start to 1 inning, or his 1 appearance, 2 hits, 2 runs. It was a 2-run home run by George Springer, but he had been nails in the first 6 innings he's thrown, just the 1 base runner up until that last appearance. Real tough to pick up. Kind of a unique delivery where the front side goes up, backside goes down, and then way over the top delivery. Kind of tough to pick up for the hitters. Got a fastball, slider, and a split finger, and he's not afraid to use all of them. Good mix.
Brad Brock worked an inning and 2/3, a run on a couple of hits with a walk and 3 strikeouts. Alex Presley's going to be coming to the plate. He'll get his first at bat. He came on for Fowler to play in center field. Fowler had 3 strikeouts and was not after the Golden Sombrero. Alex Presley will go after the first pitch, and Lowe will have to play it on a hop. First pitch he sees in the ball game is a base hit. Lead off the bottom of the 8th inning. Astros get the leadoff man on again.
Well, they're happy they're picking up some hits in this ball game. Kind of struggling offensively here recently. Starting to pick up some hits here late in the game.
That will bring up Dominguez. He is 0 for 3. Strikeout, 2 fly balls to center. He's gone 3 for 12 in this series against the Orioles. Coming in with a .409 batting average this year against O's pitching. 1-0 count. Whoa. High and deep and way back in left field, and Goodbye home run. Dominguez delivers the long ball for his 8th home run, and RBIs 23 and 24.
Well, Guillemette, some struggles here at Minute Maid Park. A couple 2-run home runs in this series. Let's take a look, just trying to get ahead. And that pitch works itself back over to the inner third. Hundley setting up away, and Dominguez does not miss it. Towering home run to left field.
Well, the Astros not going to go quietly. It is a 9-4 game. Nobody out here in the 8th inning, and 2 runs in. They got a run in the 7th inning as well. 0-1 the count on Chris Carter. Carter, an RBI base hit that came in the 4th inning. And a swing and a miss on that one. For Dominguez, that's the 5th home run he's had at home. 3 on the road. Carter with home run power, to be followed by Guzman. Here's the 0-2. That one in the air and into the seats, foul.
A couple good sliders to get ahead and then expand the zone a little bit with the fastball. Take a look at the hit speed. Ball off the bat of Dominguez, 95 miles an hour.
Count will stay at 2 strikes on Chris Carter. That will cause a little concern over there in the Orioles dugout. Here's the 0-2 delivery, and that's in the dirt. A 1-ball 2-strike count from Guillemette.
Well, you certainly don't want the Astros to get back in the ball game, but also the concern about using too many arms in this bullpen. An off day tomorrow, so maybe not overly concerned, but you'd like to give the arms an extra day if you could.
2 balls and 2 strikes. And Carter flings the bat. The ball's in the catcher's glove all the way out to left field. So Carter strikes out. Second time he's gone down the K route. He now has the lead, however, in our bat throwing contest.
Yeah, well, another good slider there. 3 quality sliders in that at bat, and the bat speed there was probably about 45-50 miles an hour as it goes past J.J. Hardy.
It's a whole new category we need to.
That's real bat speed.
Real bat speed
and distance.
1 down here in the 8th inning. Guzman has picked up a base hit, a run scored, grounded out, drawn a walk. And the pitch is in there for a strike from Guillemette. 9-11-0 for the Orioles, 4-8-0 for the Astros. Astros have left 6 on base. The Orioles have left 4. And that pitch will catch the outside corner, and he quickly gets ahead of him, 2 strikes. Here's the 0-2 delivery. And that's there. That didn't take long. 2 down.
Some easy work. And showing good command of his off-speed pitches. Fastball's been the one that's been getting hit. There you go. 3 pitches. Finishes him off. Another off-speed pitch at 83 miles an hour.
So 2 down and nobody on after the 2-run homer by Dominguez in the inning. Grossman picked up a double his last time up, just missed a home run. He is 1 for 3 in the ball game, 3 for 12 in this series. Young will settle under it in left field, and he's got it, and that'll retire the side. So a couple of runs in on 2 hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. 8 complete, and the Orioles lead at 9-4. Orioles baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. Houston on this Sunday afternoon with the Orioles on top by a score of 9-4. Gilmet giving up a couple in the 8th inning. Still a substantial lead. Another pitching change for the Astros.
And Darren Downs called up on May 4th. He's been in 10 games, 2.16 earned run average, 7 punch outs, a couple base on balls in his 8 1/3 innings of work. And he's got a real good breaking ball, a couple good breaking balls actually. Slider and curve, those are his best pitches. Has a unique kind of delivery. Check it out, that big arm swing goes way behind him, snaps the arm through. But the plus slider and curve are what the Orioles hitters are going to be looking for. At fastball, he throws 88 to 92.
So Downs will come on to pitch here. 29 years old. 9 years he spent in the minors before he ever got a chance at the major league level. He was actually born in Michigan outside of Detroit. Grew up though in Florida. Ball popped up and put out of play as the Orioles bat in the top of the 9th inning. Manny Machado, can he add more to the numbers? Grand slam home run, first of his career, came in the 6th inning. Scored a run in the 3rd after he had doubled and was part of a double steal. He was hit by a pitch his first time up. And Manny will take the pitch for a ball. So a 4 RBI day, 2 runs scored, and a 2 for 3 at the plate. That'll work.
Yeah, well, you know, Manny, he's been a little in between. He had a nice little streak going. You thought that was going to be the time. And, you know, Manny's starting to get back into his rhythm and then kind of tapered off again. But some good at bats today. On time with his swing. In this series, seemed to be off balance. You know, Manny Machado is surrounded by some of the greatest hitters in the game, and there's a lot of talk, and of course the work he does with Jim Presley. So, you know, it isn't like he forgets about it. He looks at video and constantly working at his craft. And today some things have come together for sure. I mean, he had a breaking ball for a double, and he wasn't out front. He stayed behind it, drove it into the left center gap, and of course that big home run, a fastball on the inner 3rd. So some nice at bats from Machado.
It's the 3rd 4 RBI game that he has had in his career, and his first of this year. 2-2 delivery on the way to him, and Machado will go down swinging. So Downs will get the strikeout. 1 away here in the top of the 9th inning. Young will be coming up, and then Jones. The Red Sox have pounded Tampa Bay again. They were shut out 4-0 today. John Lester got the win. He gave up no runs, 4 hits over 7, striking out 12 Rays. Lester is now 6-6 on the year. Former Oriole Eric Bedard took the loss. He gave up 3 runs, 5 hits over 4 2/3. Tampa Bay's in real trouble.
Yeah, they really are. And how about the Red Sox, though? That's 7 wins in a row, I think. Yeah. After coming off of 10 losses in a row.
Tampa Bay has now lost 6 consecutive games. They are now 10.5 out. When you get to double digits at the 1st of June, you're pretty much toast.
That's tough. I mean, they have some things coming up on the horizon. A couple guys coming off the disabled list that may help them, and that's a big number to overcome.
The Red Sox with the 7th win in a row, started the day 6 games out. That's exactly where they'll stay. The Orioles have got a chance to pick up a game on the Yankees in 2nd place if they can win today. Played by Gonzalez. The out recorded on Young. He's 0 for 3 since coming into the ball game. Ryan Mattis is warming up in the bullpen for the O's. Obviously not a save situation with a 9-4 lead. And Adam Jones coming up. Adam with an RBI and a sac fly, 0 for 3 in the ball game and 2 for 15 in the series. He will not be unhappy to see Houston go away for the year, not have to play him again. His batting average has been under 200 against the Astros this season. Lefty's delivery to him outside. The Orioles with a victory here will be 4-3. They'll take the season series. against the Astros. They'll improve their road trip to 3-4 with the 3 games left in Arlington. Wow. Bouncer. Harper got enough of the glove on to protect the umpire and himself. 2-0.
A little bit of everybody right there. Well, the Orioles, they're kind of fighting for consistency as well. I mean, 500 in the month of April, 500 in May. And there have been some positive things that have happened. But just trying to come together, this whole team, they haven't worked on all cylinders very often. They did have a 5-game winning streak. I think this team is a lot more capable than that. I think they can run off bigger streaks, but right after their 5-game winning streak, they had a 4-game losing streak.
And off the mark by Villard. That's about the 3rd time in this game he's had to range into shallow left field. Jones will probably get a hit on that, as even if Villard made a spectacular throw, I don't think he would have had him.
Showing off the good range, but the off-balance throw sends Guzman out into the outfield. And Jones able to pick up a base hit.
So Adam on with a 2-out single here in the 9th inning. Gives Davis another chance. Chris single and a run scored. 1 for 4, a couple of strikeouts in the game. The Orioles 6th inning, 6 runs, 5 hits, ignited by 4 consecutive singles. Davis, Hardy, Scope, and Lowe. It started it out and would end up with a grand slam by Manny Machado. The Orioles had the bases loaded in the 6th inning for 3 different at-bats. Obviously, the last of those 3 went to Manny. Big cut by Chris, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
These last couple wins, the Orioles have had to do some scraping and clawing. In yesterday's ball game, facing Keuchel, who's one of the better pitchers in the game, had to get some walks, work some at bats to beat him.
That's a fair ball played by Guzman to the bag. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on base. Orioles need 3 outs to put away the 28th win of the with lots of highlights on the positive side for the Orioles in this one with that 9-4 lead, and Brian Mattis will come on to try and finish it up.
Brian Mattis, rough start to the road trip. He gave up a couple runs, but 3.44 earned run average. Want to work that down. 12 strikeouts and 9 base on balls in his 18 1/3 innings of work. Opponents hitting .278 overall. Lefties at .250. The righties were staying up there to .300.
Houston will bat here in the bottom half of the 9th inning at 8-9-1 in the order.
Brian has been so good with inherited runners on, and unfortunately in that Milwaukee game that he appeared in, he gave up a couple earned runs to kind of put a halt to that. So he's looking to get back on track. Some quality pitches here, finish up this game.
Mattis ready to go. And Carlos Corcoran doing the catching, swings through it. He's 0 for 2 and a sac fly RBI. 2-run homer by Dominguez, RBI single by Carter, and the Corcoran sac fly have accounted for the 4 runs on the board for Houston. Left-hander's 0-1 pitch and a check swing. Did he go? Nope. Wei-Yin Chen looking for his 6th win against 2 losses. A run on 4 hits over 5 1/3. Former Oriole Scott Feldman will take the loss. 9 runs, 11 hits, and 5 1/3 innings off Feldman. Chen will be 3-0 lifetime against Houston, and Feldman will be 4-2 lifetime against the Orioles. 2-ball, 1 strike count. Day off tomorrow. Arlington against the Rangers on Tuesday night. 7:30 O's extra, 8 o'clock for the ball game. Jimenez against Saunders. And that pitch is going to be inside a little bit. So the count goes to 3-1 on the leadoff batter here in the 9th inning. Villar waiting on deck. 3-1. Fouled it back. We get the steel girder shadows in the outfield. Sun coming through here in the late afternoon. All the way over through center. Pretty, but maybe a little troublesome for balls that hit the left and center. None of that in right field. Here's the 3-2 pitch, and he got him. So Brian Mattis comes back to get the strikeout. 1 down.
Good fastball from Brian Mattis, located perfectly down and in. It's a good spot there. Not much Corcoran can do with that.
That's the 12th strikeout the Oriole pitchers have picked up in the ball game. Brad Brock had 3. Yomet had a couple. Brian Mattis gets 1, and Chen had 6. Villar is 0 for 3 in the ball game. Mattis working for the first time against the Astros this year. And the pitch is in there for a strike.
The Orioles have a lot of good things to feel good about going into this off day. This is a big game for them. They didn't want to lose the series to the Astros. A rough series up there in Milwaukee. Some tight ball games. And kind of waiting for the offense to get back on track. And this was a good game. Everybody contributed. A little scare with Cruz leaving the game, getting hit in the hand, but a lot of contributors that had been quiet. Manny Machado, Jonathan Scope, David Lowe playing a big part in it.
0-2 delivery down to third and foul.
And even though Wei-Yin Chen didn't get as deep into the game as he would have liked, or I think Buck Showalter, Dave Wallace would have liked, a competitive outing. Just the 1 run he allowed.
(0-2) count on Villar. And that'll be nubbed to first base. Chris Davis will go to the bag himself, and there are 2 down here in the 9th inning. The victory here today will improve the Orioles' road record to 17-15. They have made a lot of hay on the road, and we'll get to start this month of June with a win. 2 down, bases are empty. Top of the order, Gonzalez. Gonzalez has had only 1 at bat. He drew the walk in the 7th inning, coming on for Altuve to play at second base. Marwin Gonzalez with 2 down. And Mattis comes inside for a ball. News today, Tommy Hunter is going to be joining the team in Texas on Tuesday, according to Buck Showalter. The Oriole coaches wanted to get a look at him. He went around, strike. Aaron Santana, the Orioles have until Monday to get a deal done with him, or he has an opt-out at midnight on Monday, and that's not a done deal yet. But Showalter has talked highly about Santana in the hopes that he might be available for the Orioles in the second half of the season. Here's the 1-1 delivery on the way. The Orioles have got to cut a deal with him first.
Well, for as much time as they put in, to Santana, you would think that they would try to work something out. But I guess it all comes down to what they've seen. Do they believe he can still compete at the major league level? And it just seems like he's been doing a pretty good job.
Like Showalter said today, that hitting the dip. So Brian Mattis, a hit batter, as I caught a piece of the jersey. But Showalter made it clear what the issue is before the game today. He said, when they say it isn't about the money, it's about the money.
Yeah.
So that's what the negotiations are all about, whether the Orioles will meet what Santana and his agent want, keep him in an Orioles uniform. So the hit batter will extend the ninth inning, and Springer will get another chance. He's already had a double single, 2 for 4 in the ball game. Now at 261 on the year, 10 homers, 29 RBIs. Ryan Mattis trying to finish this off. And Springer will take the pitch outside for a ball. A couple of home runs against left-handers, 8 against the righties.
You see with the lead, Chris Davis backing off. Gonzalez.
Towering fly ball hit in the air. Jones is over, and this ball game is in the record books. And the Orioles come away with a victory as they win it by a score of 9-4. Teams go 2-2 in the series. The Orioles win the season series 4-3. Chen the winner, and Feldman the loser. Join us again on Tuesday. Game 1 of 3 against the Rangers.